Chapter 22-23. Oh no! Ling Zhao's heart sank. When he saw that the Blood Demon Emperor had been cut in half by the Everlasting Saint's broken sword but had recovered in an instant, he felt that something was wrong. What he did not expect was that the Everlasting Saint had chosen to escape. Boom! At this moment, Ling Zhao had unknowingly approached the edge of the Blood Sea. He instantly activated the Flipping Sky Seal, which expanded in the air. The Heaven's Punishment secret skill exploded with blazing lightning, which then blasted directly into the Blood Sea. The void exploded with a loud bang, and the sky was filled with bloody light. Chaotic turbulence surged, and a huge void passage appeared in the void. Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, Feng Qingyang, you three take Jin Sei and leave first. Ling Zhao quickly shouted and then rushed towards the Blood Demon Emperor. A dragon's roar shook the heavens, and a golden glow shone dazzlingly. The five elements' divine light flowed around him, and at the same time yin and yang qi rose. In the vast chaotic void behind him, the images of the ancestral dragon, the true phoenix, the black tortoise, the white tiger, and the qilin appeared, causing Ling Zhao's body to explode with terrifying energy. His eyes shone with a sharp light as he threw a punch at the Blood Demon Emperor. You want to leave? None of you can leave. The Blood Hell Emperor's son was enraged. Blood light surged around him, and in an instant, blood-red tentacles shot out from the sea of blood and wrapped around the Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, and the others. At the same time, the blood sea surged and was about to drown the huge void passage. Swoosh! The Yuanshan Saint was quick to react. When he saw Ling Zhao blast open the void passage, he instantly turned into a stream of light and shot into the void passage to escape. The Blood Demon Emperor's terrifying power had made the Everlasting Saint escape. He did not have any confidence in Ling Zhao. If he continued to stay here, he was afraid that he would die here. I'm not leaving. I can't let you fight alone. Today, we brothers are united. If we live or die, we die together. The Old Goat roared. His voice was a little hoarse and his eyes were filled with determination. I'm not leaving either. Taoist Wuliang said faintly, but his voice was extremely determined. Me too. Feng Qingyang said with reddened eyes. Now is not the time for you to express your determination. If you want to live, then kill the Blood Hell Emperor's son first. Jin Sei's cold voice sounded in their ears. The next moment, Jin Sei soared into the sky, and the Taishang sword in her hand bloomed with brilliant sword light. She slashed down toward the Blood Hell Emperor. Her expression was indifferent and calm, as if nothing could move her, but her attack was incomparably fierce. She instantly saw that the key to this battle was the Blood Hell Emperor's son. The Blood Hell Emperor's son was the foundation of the Blood Demon Emperor's existence. As long as the Blood Hell Emperor's son was killed, the Blood Demon Emperor's avatar would disappear completely. Kill! After Old Goat and the other two heard Jin Sei's words, their eyes lit up. They roared at the same time and followed Jin Sei to attack the Blood Prison Emperor. Rumble! Ling Zhao's terrifying punch exploded in the void. The power of the five elements and yin and yang intertwined, like a seven-colored dragon rising into the sky, opening its mouth and swallowing the Blood Demon Emperor. The Blood Demon Emperor's expression was indifferent. In the face of Ling Zhao's punch, he also blasted out a simple punch. The blood-colored demonic light surged, and circles of ripples spread out, colliding with Ling Zhao's punch. The void suddenly exploded, and divine light surged all over the sky. The seven-colored divine dragon was actually blown to pieces by the strange sound wave. Ling Zhao's body shook violently, as if he had hit an indestructible mountain. His arm was numb, and he lost all feeling. He was sent flying. The Blood Demon Emperor also noticed that Jin Sei, Old Goat and the others were rushing toward the Blood Hell Emperor's son. He directly slashed down with his palm, and the blazing blood light was like a vast waterfall, separating heaven and earth. Jin Sei and the others seemed to have fallen into endless mud, entangled by the blood light, and had no way to escape. Rumble! The Blood Demon Emperor slapped down with a blood-colored palm print. It was extremely terrifying, and he wanted to smash Jin Sei and the others into powder. Oh no! Ling Zhao's expression changed dramatically, revealing an extremely anxious look. A glittering and translucent jade plate appeared in his palm, exuding 9-colored divine light, as if it could illuminate the sky. It was ancient and mysterious. With a light swipe of the jade plate, Ling Zhao's palm split open. Fresh blood gushed out from Ling Zhao's body and was devoured by the jade plate. Instantly, the jade plate soared into the sky like a bright moon. It was extremely resplendent as it shot towards the Blood Devil Emperor. The jade plate of good fortune had appeared. Ling Zhao felt that the Blood Demon Emperor was powerful and invincible. He immediately took out the jade plate of good fortune, devouring more than half of the blood in his body. The supreme divine power of this ultimate treasure of chaos burst out and suppressed the Blood Demon Emperor. This is a fragment of the jade plate of good fortune? You have such a big jade plate of good fortune? When the Blood Prison Emperor saw the jade plate of good fortune in Ling Zhao's palm, his body trembled, and his eyes revealed an extremely greedy look. The Good Fortune Jade Disc was a legendary treasure of chaos. The Good Fortune Jade Disc had been broken in ancient times and its fragments were scattered all over the sky. The Blood Prison Emperor didn't expect Ling Zhao to have such a large fragment. He knew some secrets of the jade plate of good fortune. If he could get the jade plate of good fortune in Ling Zhao's hand, his chances of becoming the chosen one would greatly increase. He must get the fragment of the jade plate of good fortune. The Blood Prison Emperor immediately made up his mind. Rumble! Terrifying fluctuations erupted from the Blood Demon Emperor's body, and a vast emperor's aura was awakened. His palm print stopped in the void, and then turned into a fist. A blood-colored fist print blasted toward the jade plate of good fortune. The void trembled, and the jade plate of good fortune was extremely bright. It looked dazzling and incomparably holy. Wherever it went, the laws of heaven and earth were rapidly shattered, and everything seemed to be annihilated. The Blood Demon Emperor trembled all over, and one of his arms exploded into powder in an instant. It was completely obliterated, and it was impossible to regenerate it. The Blood Demon Emperor seemed to feel greatly provoked, and his eyes revealed monstrous blood-colored killing intent. Thunder rumbled, and streaks of blood-colored lightning surged. He suddenly grabbed the jade plate of good fortune with his other hand, and the blood-colored light in his body rushed madly into the jade plate of good fortune, wanting to pollute it with the power of the blood way. Puff! Chapter 22-24. Suddenly, a bright light bloomed. Sword intent rose in the void. It was sharp and sharp as if it could destroy everything. Sword chi rose around Jin Se, instantly cutting off all the blood tentacles around her. Then she was sent flying. Jin Se's red dress fluttered in the wind. Her white hair was as white as frost. Her face was extremely beautiful, but she was indifferent and cold. Her entire body emitted a peerless aura. Light blossomed from the center of Jin Se's brows. A misty world could be seen there, and a mysterious figure could be seen sitting cross-legged there. She looked like a woman, and sword wills intertwined around her. Beams of sword light soared into the sky, containing scenes of the birth and destruction of worlds. It was as though each beam of sword chi contained a world of its own. The power around Jin Se skyrocketed. Soon, it surpassed the limit of the third level of heaven treading. The holy aura around her spread. She had advanced to the true saint realm, and it was still rising. She held the Taishang sword in her hand. Her eyes were sharp as if she had become a different person. Her sword intent was vast and mighty as it charged towards Blood Demon Emperor. Boom! Both Jin Se and Blood Demon Emperor's auras were extremely terrifying. An intense battle broke out in the void. Sword chi raged with unparalleled sharpness. Sword light shattered the sky. Endless chaotic turbulence surged. The blood light exploded one after another, making this battle extremely exciting. The figure between Jin Se's glabella became clearer and clearer. One could vaguely see that it was a peerless woman. It was as if she was about to wake up from a deep sleep. Jin Se soared into the air and slashed down at the Blood Demon Emperor Lord. The sword chi was endless, as though it contained countless mysterious worlds. Instantly, The blood demon Emperor Lord was drowned. This sword was vast, terrifying, ancient, and mysterious. It was as if it was the supreme sword Tao of an ancient emperor. It could even completely cut everything in the world in half. The blood fiend Emperor Lord was instantly cleaved into two halves by this sword. Rumble. Blood light surged violently in the void as boundless blood light gathered around the blood demon emperor, as though he was about to materialize once more. But at this moment, sword chi intertwined in the surroundings. Every single sword light was incomparably sharp, causing the blood light in the sky to explode. Ling Xiao attack! Jin Sei shouted at Ling Xiao. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he instantly soared through the sky at an extremely fast speed. Taking advantage of the fact that the blood demon emperor's body had yet to reform after being shattered by the sword chi, Ling Xiao instantly executed the heaven-devouring secret skill. Boom! The sky-devouring divine sea around Ling Xiao exploded. At the same time, the wordless heavenly book between his eyebrows shone brightly, releasing a dazzling radiance, making the power of the sky-devouring secret skill even more terrifying. The bloody light that filled the sky was instantly swallowed up by the soaring heavens. All of it was integrated into the wordless heavenly book and was suppressed by it. The imprint of the blood demon emperor's primordial spirit was completely destroyed. The blood hell emperor was enraged. Coupled with the fact that the blood demon emperor had been killed, he had suffered quite a bit of backlash. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura had become weak. Long out Yen, I will remember you. One day I will kill you. The blood hell emperor roared. In an instant, a bloody light rose from his body as he was about to break through the void and escape. He was extremely decisive. After knowing that the blood demon emperor had been killed, he would be in danger if he continued to stay. No matter how shocked and unwilling he was, he had to leave first. Blood hell emperor, do you think you can escape? Ling Xiao sneered. Killing intent flickered in his eyes. In an instant, the jade disc of fortune in his hand glowed and swallowed up most of the blood in his body. His face paled and he almost lost his footing. He was about to fall from the sky. Fortunately, the old goat was quick enough to catch him. The jade disc of good fortune shone brilliantly, and the 9-colored divine light drove the origin of the great path of the heavens. Its speed was so fast that it tore the void apart and slashed down from above the blood hell emperor's head. Father, save me. The blood prison emperor's son's eyes were full of despair as he shouted. Buzz. At this moment, above the blood hell emperor's head, there seemed to be a void that was about to be penetrated by some kind of force, and an incomparably mysterious bloody figure emerged in the void. Kacha! The light of the jade plate of fortune bloomed and shattered the void in an instant. Even the scarlet figure was pierced through by the jade plate of fortune before it was completely devoured. It was just a mark left on the blood hell emperor's body, but unfortunately, it was too far away, and the power of the good fortune jade disc was so strong that it directly obliterated it. Is that the divine thought of the blood hell emperor? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his expression became extremely solemn. Without the mark of the blood hell emperor, the blood hell emperor had no way to resist the sharpness of the good fortune jade disc and was instantly cut in half. 5-colored blood beads emerged from blood hell emperor's son's body. They looked like small suns, and they contained a strong vitality. Devour! Ling Xiao made up his mind, and a powerful devouring force erupted from his body. The heaven-devouring secret technique completely broke out. The flesh and blood of the blood hell emperor's body, along with the mysterious 5-colored blood beads, were all devoured by Ling Xiao. Since he had killed the blood hell emperor, he was destined to offend the blood hell emperor. Although offending a great emperor of the demon race sounded shocking, Ling Xiao wasn't afraid at all. Even great emperors couldn't interfere with this grand event in the chaotic ancient land, and they didn't even know what was going on. Jin Sei also fell from the 9th heaven, and the powerful aura on her body disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. She seemed to have suffered a great loss of vitality, her face became extremely pale, and her body trembled slightly. Jin Sei, are you okay? Ling Xiao struggled to stand up, regardless of the serious injuries he suffered, and looked at Jin Se with great concern. I'm fine. You killed the Blood Hell Emperor's son. This time, I'm afraid the demon realm has already regarded you as a mortal enemy. Jin Se shook her head calmly, and a strange look flashed in her eyes. Yes. Ling Xiao, besides us, the Wuji Saint's son and Yuanshan Saint's son also know that you killed the Blood Hell Emperor's son. I think it's necessary to eliminate them completely. The old goat said slowly, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. Offending a great emperor was no small matter. If it was someone else, they would have been scared out of their wits. However, since things had already come to this, the old goat and Taoist Wu Yang were thinking of ways to help Ling Xiao. They wanted to eliminate the impact of this matter as much as possible. Chapter 22-25. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, with the Blood Hell Emperor's strength, it's basically impossible for us to hide the fact that we killed the Blood Hell Emperor's son. Moreover, the Wuji Saint and Yuanshan Saint have fought side by side with us. As long as they don't provoke me, I won't find trouble with them. Then aren't you afraid of the Blood Hell Emperor's revenge? He's a supreme great emperor. Feng Qingyang said anxiously. After all, great emperors were peerless and invincible. They were the strongest in the universe and could bury an era, making a race prosper or decline. Currently, in the myriad of worlds, any powerful race that occupied a world would definitely have a great emperor-level expert behind them. So what if it's the Blood Hell Emperor? If I become the Heavenly Emperor in the future, I'll kill the demon race. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. His eyes were sharp without the slightest trace of fear. His whole body exuded a strong fighting spirit. Kill the demon race? You really dare to say that? Even when the 9 emperors of the human race appeared in the most dazzling era, they only made the demon race retreat. They didn't dare to say that they would kill the demon race. You're too arrogant, but I like it. The old goat rolled his eyes and said with a smile. The demon race was very ancient, even older than the human race. For countless eras, the demon race had been the ruler of many eras and had an incomparably deep foundation. Although there were only 3 demon emperors in the demon world, no one knew what kind of power the demon race was hiding. No one dared to underestimate the demon race. It was like how the human race called them the demon race, but the demon race called themselves the sacred race. Defying was the demon race, and following was the sacred race. The demon race had always thought that they were a race blessed by the heavens and should dominate the universe. At the beginning of the human race epoch, the 9 emperors of the human race appeared out of nowhere and led the human race to conquer the myriad of worlds. Their brilliance was so great that the myriad of worlds had to retreat. Even the demon race had to temporarily avoid the human race. However, among the 9 emperors of the human race, there were still a few great emperors who died in the war against the demon race. This made the human race thoroughly understand the demon race's foundation. Now, Ling Xiao said that he wanted to become an emperor and kill the demon race. Although the old goat was full of confidence in Ling Xiao's ability, it was almost impossible to kill the demon race. However, it liked and admired this kind of Ling Xiao. He never admitted defeat and had strong self-confidence. Moreover, he had created one miracle after another. Boom! At this moment, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Xiao's body had finished devouring the blood demon emperor and the emperor's son. In an instant, a dazzling 9-colored divine glow, and a vast and pure blood energy surging from the wordless heavenly book and the emperor's body. Protect me! Ling Xiao's expression changed, and he immediately sat down cross-legged. Bang bang bang! Blazing divine light rose around him as streaks of blood-red light gushed out from his body. The runes were dazzling, and the blood-red light intertwined with each other as if forming a divine chain of order. It enveloped Ling Xiao's entire body, forming a blood cocoon. The blood cocoon was like a dazzling blood-red sun, containing a majestic aura of life. It looked exactly the same as the blood cocoon on the emperor's body when Ling Xiao first met him. Is this guy going to accept the inheritance of the blood demon emperor? The old goat said with surprise and joy. It's hard to say. Even if it's not the inheritance of the Blood Demon Emperor, Ling Xiao must have gained a lot of benefits. After all, even if it's only 1/10,000th of the power of an emperor's avatar, it's still amazing. Taoist Wu Yang said slowly. They instantly spread out around Ling Xiao. Their eyes were filled with vigilance as they began to protect Ling Xiao. In the blood cocoon, Ling Xiao exuded an incomparably mysterious aura. The pure energy gushing out of the wordless heavenly book poured into his limbs and bones. It was the purest blood way origin, which began to refine his body and make it stronger. Ling Xiao's life essence also became more and more abundant, like a vast ocean. The blood-red runes around him began to imprint themselves on his body, causing every particle in his body to contain the most origin power. Bang bang! Ling Xiao's blood surged like a great river, boiling and exuding a dazzling golden glow. It was like a golden divine liquid, containing powerful energy fluctuations. However, as the vast origin energy of the bloodways poured in, Ling Xiao's blood fused with the origin energy of the bloodways. The rings of golden light slowly dispersed, and his blood actually became bright red again. However, the power within it became even more terrifying. Vaguely, Ling Xiao seemed to see countless memory fragments. In ancient times, the human race was still incomparably weak. The world was filled with countless innate fiend gods and powerful races. At that time, the human race was the food of the innate fiend gods, and their end was extremely miserable. Later, some human race ancestors were unwilling to accept their fate and began to comprehend the world, forming the supreme path of martial arts. They stepped on the firmament, had the starry sky above their heads, and every movement contained the power to destroy the world. Although the human race was weak, their potential was endless. After cultivating martial arts, their strength improved by leaps and bounds, and they were gradually able to contend with wild beasts, fierce beasts, and even those powerful races. Ling Xiao saw the human race ancestors in ancient times. They were unwilling to accept the fate of the human race, and refused to accept the arrangement of the heavenly Tao. They contended with the world with their own strength, and gradually awakened the human race from weakness to prosperity. The endless fighting spirit, the unwillingness to admit defeat, the fearlessness of death, and the indomitable spirit were forever imprinted in the human race's bloodline. This was the most precious treasure that the human race ancestors left for their descendants. Now, after Ling Xiao devoured the Blood Demon Emperor's blood Tao origin, his bloodline showed signs of atavism. Even the dragon race bloodline in his body was suppressed at this moment, and the human race bloodline had the upper hand. Ling Xiao saw that the ancestors of the human race in the ancient times had led the human race from savagery to civilization. They had gone from being weak to being strong. They had experienced countless battles. When someone fell, someone else would quickly stand up. A drop of human race blood could turn the earth into an ocean, crush the sky, burn the world, and kill all enemies in the world. Although the imprinted scene was very blurry, Ling Xiao felt his blood boil after seeing it. He couldn't control himself, and it was as if he wanted to return to ancient times and fight side by side with the human race ancestors. A clear dragon's roar rang out from Ling Xiao's body. It contained a trace of unwillingness and submission. Ling Xiao's dragon bloodline, which was originally extremely powerful, was completely at a disadvantage. It was suppressed by Ling Xiao's human bloodline. Rumble! The blood in Ling Xiao's body boiled, and the wisps of blood were incomparably heavy, like ancient mountains, giving his every move an unparalleled divine power. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes, and his gaze was deep and ancient, as if it contained the aura of endless time, allowing him to pass through the river of time and see the birth of the human race in ancient times. Chapter 22-26. Ever since Ling Xiao came to the God of War's world, his body was half human and half dragon because of his parents. In addition, he cultivated the secret skill of the ancestral dragon, so the dragon bloodline in his body had always had the upper hand. Ling Xiao almost thought that the human bloodline in his body had been devoured by the dragon bloodline. Ling Xiao did not have an unparalleled sacred body. His body was just an ordinary human body. Even if he cultivated the secret skill of the ancestral dragon and condensed the acquired divine dragon body, it was still much weaker than those supreme sacred bodies. But now, Ling Xiao understood that the human bloodline was the strongest. Boom, boom, boom. His heart was beating. Every time it beat, it emitted a powerful wave of power, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. Powerful vitality spread in all directions, making his body stronger and stronger. Ling Xiao felt that he had reached some kind of bottleneck. He could break through the third limit at any time, condense the celestial master, and break through to the third heaven realm. He had just broken through the second limit not long ago. He originally thought that even with all kinds of treasures and opportunities, he would need a few years of accumulation before he could continue to break through. But he did not expect that after devouring the Blood Demon Emperor and the Blood Hell Emperor, he would accumulate enough power so quickly. At the same time, in his sea of consciousness, after the Blood Demon Emperor's clone imprint was refined, a part of the Blood Demon Emperor's memory turned into a torrent and integrated into his sea of consciousness. Ling Xiao saw the growth of the Blood Demon Emperor. It was like a vast epic. From being weak to being strong, from an ordinary demon youth, he finally grew into an unparalleled celestial master that shocked thousands of worlds. In the Blood Demon Emperor's memory, Ling Xiao also saw a figure. That was a figure that had attained the martial monarch realm before the Blood Demon Monarch. His strength was terrifying to the extreme, and his talent was even stronger than the Blood Demon Monarch. After attaining the martial monarch realm, he had severely injured the Blood Demon Monarch to the point where his soul was about to dissipate. It's the Blood Hell Emperor? I didn't expect that the Blood Demon Emperor and the Blood Hell Emperor were from the same era as the Blood Hell Emperor. A strange look appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. In the memories of the Blood Demon Monarch, he saw that the Blood Demon Monarch and the Blood Prison Monarch both cultivated the supreme Tao of blood. They had even obtained the supreme inheritance of the ancient blood tribe. They were both peerless experts and were seen as the hope of the demon race. They both had the potential to become monarchs. However, the Blood Hell Monarch was extremely cunning. Not only did he snatch away the Blood Demon Monarch's opportunity, he even reached the monarch realm before the Blood Demon Monarch. Ling Xiao could feel the Blood Demon Emperor's unwillingness and anger. This was also the reason why Blood Hell Emperor had not been able to obtain the inheritance of Blood Demon Emperor for so long. Although Blood Demon Emperor was dead, his resentment had not dissipated. He naturally had a deep rejection of Blood Hell Emperor. This is the Vampire Heavenly Book? Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as he saw an extremely mysterious scripture in the Blood Demon Emperor's memories. The scripture was scarlet red like blood, and the runes were resplendent. It looked like a vast and mysterious world, blooming in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, containing endless mysteries. This was the true inheritance of the Blood Devil Emperor. Rumble! Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the void, and a bloody light rose around him. In the vast and mysterious blood realm, there was a majestic aura of life, and even a trace of immortality. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the blood realm, looking at the passage of time and the changes of the universe, but he himself was eternal and indestructible. He had a feeling that he had jumped out of the heavenly way and was not in the five elements. One rune after another fused into Ling Xiao's Yuan spirit, causing it to emit a blood-red glow. A few resplendent stars could be vaguely seen in Ling Xiao's soul. They radiated with the mysterious presence of chaos, fate, karma, reincarnation, divine punishment, the five elements, yin and yang. They floated in the endless chaos. At this moment, as the Vampire Heavenly Book merged into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, another bloody star emerged. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit aura was mysterious and ethereal, becoming more and more vast. He vaguely seemed to be able to see the depths of the chaotic ancient land, the vast sea of heavenly way, the scene of endless life and death, and the chaotic laws of time and space reincarnation. The Vampire Heavenly Book made Ling Xiao fall into a deep state of enlightenment, forgetting time and space, forgetting everything. Ling Xiao's body slowly floated up, curled up like a baby in his mother's womb, with a faint smile on his lips and an ethereal aura. At this moment, The demon world began to boil over because of the death of the Blood Prison Emperor. On the surface, there were 3 supreme great emperors in the Devil world. They were the Undying Devil Emperor, the Blood Prison Devil Emperor, and the original Devil Emperor. They were the supreme rulers of the Devil world. Even the 10 great sects of the Devil world and the various powerful ancient races had to bow down in front of the 3 great Devil Emperors. The 3 demon emperors had not appeared for tens of millions of years, but no one had forgotten their existence. The descendants of the 3 demon emperors were also the supreme princes of the demon world, known as the Hope of the Demon World, and the peerless genius who was most likely to become a demon emperor in the future. This time, the Devil world was full of confidence. They believed that without the 9 great emperors, the human race had completely declined. They dispatched the 3 great emperors to seize the position of the heaven's chosen child and create an era that belonged to the Devil race. But on this day, in the Blood Prison Palace, the soul tablet of the Blood Prison Emperor was shattered. This meant that the Blood Prison Emperor was dead. The whole demon world began to boil over. Who on earth had the guts to kill the Blood Prison Emperor? The Blood Prison Palace cannot be humiliated. No matter who killed the Blood Prison Emperor, he must pay a debt of blood, and pay 1,000 times the price. In the Blood Prison Palace, 2 white-haired old men in blood-red robes said coldly. Killing intent rose around them, and there was a trace of unconcealable horror in their eyes. The 2 of them were surrounded by vast saint aura, and their aura was incomparably terrifying. There were mysterious scenes of the birth and death of the universe around them, indicating that their cultivation was very high. But at this moment, both of them were shocked and angry, having a feeling that a great disaster was about to befall them. Both of them were the left and right elders of the Blood Prison Palace, supreme experts of the Saint King level. But even Saint Kings were like ants in front of the supreme great emperors. Now, the Blood Prison Emperor had been killed. If the Blood Prison Emperor returned one day, the 2 of them would die without a burial place. Let's go. Let's go to the passage of the chaotic ancient land, find an opportunity to break open the chaotic ancient land, find the real murderer of the Blood Prison Emperor, and make him pay with his life. Chapter 22-27. The Blood Hell Emperor's son has been killed? In a place filled with demon chi, the original prince was sitting cross-legged on a mountain. His aura was terrifying and every breath he took caused the surrounding void to tremble. He suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a trace of bewilderment. Although the 3 princes did not have a good relationship, each of them had their own life cards. At this moment, the life card of the Blood Hell Emperor's life card in his palm had been completely shattered. This meant that the Blood Hell Emperor's son had been killed. The Blood Hell Emperor's son is stronger than me and has various means to defend himself. Could it be that the Son of Heaven of the human clan was able to kill him? The original prince's eyes revealed a hint of fear as he guessed in his heart. In his view, only the legendary Son of Heaven of the human clan had the strength to kill the Blood Hell Emperor's son. The Blood Hell guy is really tragic. I don't know what kind of monster he provoked. But in the end, the creation will appear. Once the chaos battlefield opens, it will be the time for the chosen one to appear. I can't be distracted now. When I finish cultivating the original sutra, it will be time for me to kill my way into the chaos battlefield. The original prince thought to himself. His eyes flickered and he slowly closed his eyes. His body was submerged in demon light as he re-entered the state of cultivation. In the layers of space, there was an immortal palace floating in the chaos, exuding a vast and ancient aura. In the palace, a young man in white slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were deep, mysterious and majestic, flowing with 9-colored divine light, causing the world to change color slightly. He exuded an aura of eternity and immortality, which merged with the chaos around him. Is the Blood Hell dead? Although the Blood Hell is a good-for-nothing, not everyone can kill him. When I come out of seclusion, I will avenge you. The young man in white said faintly. His voice was ethereal and mysterious, without a trace of emotion, as if it was the voice of the heavenly way, stating some kind of fact. In the ancient and dark space, A young man in a black robe with fluttering black hair came from the sky and appeared on the steep mountain peak. His figure was slender and heroic, filled with explosive power. His face was incomparably handsome, and there was a mysterious demonic light surging in his black eyes, incomparably deep. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, adding a bit of a sinister aura. He was Darkness Lingxiao. During this period of time, Darkness Lingxiao had been wantonly hunting heaven-treading experts in the ancient land of chaos according to the Dark Demon Emperor's orders. Darkness Lingxiao and obtained their Dao flowers. The Blood Hell Emperor's son was killed by the real body? Dark Ling Xiao thought in his heart. He was shocked that Ling Xiao had killed the Blood Prison Emperor's son. After all, the Blood Prison Emperor's son was infamous in the devil world. However, he didn't pay too much attention to the Blood Prison Prince. Instead, he focused all of his attention on the Dark Demon Emperor. Though he'd slain over 100 third-level Ascension experts and obtained 100 Dao flowers as per the Dark Demon Emperor's orders, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off with the Dark Demon Emperor. He was incomparably cautious, but for the sake of the Dark Demon Emperor's inheritance, he decided to take a little risk. Dark Ling Xiao's murderous aura rose. During this period of time, he had gone through hundreds of battles and accumulated an incomparably rich combat strength. Every expert of the third stage of heaven treading was a monstrous genius with endless trump cards. There were a few times when Dark Ling Xiao fell into a dangerous situation and almost died. But he'd pulled through and returned with 100 Dao flowers. Darkness Ling Xiao soared into the sky with extreme speed and soon arrived at the valley where the Dark Demon Emperor was. "Master, I've returned." Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he pretended to be respectful as he spoke. Rumble. As soon as his voice fell, demonic light surged in all directions. An ancient and terrifying presence appeared in the valley and turned into an old man in hemp robes. It was the Dark Demon Emperor. "Ha, my good disciple, you've brought back 100 Dao flowers, haven't you? Take them out and I'll pass on my lifetime's inheritance to you." The Dark Demon Emperor smiled faintly at Dark Ling Xiao, his eyes blazing with passion. Darkness Ling Xiao didn't immediately take out the Dao flowers. Instead, he asked curiously, "Master, what do you want them for? I can feel the boundless laws of the great Dao hidden within them. They're completely useless to you, so why don't you let me refine them all?" The Dark Demon Emperor's expression froze. "Cough, cough, my good disciple, these Dao flowers are indeed nothing to me, but I'm only a remnant soul now. I don't have enough strength to pass on my inheritance to you. Once I refine these Dao flowers, I'll be able to pass on my lifetime's inheritance to you. When the time comes, not only will I give you the Scripture of Darkness, but I'll also give you my apex great emperor weapon, the Dark Sky Wheel." The Dark Demon Emperor coughed softly and put on a serious face. His voice was full of temptation, making one's heart pound with eagerness. The Scripture of Darkness was a peerless imperial scripture. It contained the power of the heavenly Tao of darkness and was a supreme method that led directly to the great emperor realm. The Dark Sky Wheel was also the Dark Demon Emperor's apex great emperor weapon. In ancient times, the Dark Demon Emperor had killed countless powerhouses with this weapon. Whether it was the Scripture of Darkness or the Dark Sky Wheel, Darkness Ling Xiao had heard of them all. They were legendary treasures of the Dark Demon sect. "Master, 100 Dao flowers are probably just a drop in the bucket for you. Why don't I take you out of here first? With your strength, you'll be able to sweep through the chaos grounds after we leave. You'll be able to kill countless powerhouses of the third level of ascension and recover your strength." Dark High Firmament said with a smile and a respectful tone. The Dark Demon Emperor gnashed his teeth in anger, but he still said patiently, "Ling Xiao, how about I pass on the Scripture of Darkness to you right now? Give me 100 Dao flowers and I'll be able to recover some of my strength. When the time comes, we'll sweep through the chaos grounds and you'll be the one chosen by heaven." "The Scripture of Darkness? Your disciple thanks you, Master." Overjoyed, Darkness Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged and waited for the Dark Demon Emperor to pass on the Scripture to him. "Good. Guard your mind, I'll pass on the Scripture to you right now." The Dark Demon Emperor cursed inwardly, but he still smiled. The Dark Demon Emperor and Darkness Lingxiao were like two foxes, one old and one young, scheming against each other. This made Darkness Lingxiao even more certain that there was something wrong with the Dark Demon Emperor. Chapter 22-28. Darkness Lingxiao sat down cross-legged and guarded his mind. He looked very excited and full of anticipation, waiting for the Darkness Demon Emperor to pass the scripture of darkness to him. However, Darkness Lingxiao was sneering in his heart. He was on high alert and gathered the energy in his body, ready to attack the Darkness Demon Emperor at any time. After these two encounters and observations, Darkness Lingxiao had discovered the Darkness Demon Emperor's weakness. If he was caught off guard, he should be able to severely injure the Darkness Demon Emperor. After all, this old man was not the real Darkness Demon Emperor. He was just a remnant soul. Now, I will pass the scripture of darkness to you. The scripture of darkness is a supreme scripture that I created by combining all the knowledge I have learned in my life. It has unfathomable power. I hope that you will cultivate well and not bring shame to this emperor's name. The Darkness Demon Emperor said seriously. His face was solemn and dignified. Then, he pointed a finger at Darkness Lingxiao's forehead. Boom! Darkness Lingxiao didn't resist. There seemed to be a ball of black light exploding in his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Runes rose up, and chaotic light spread out. It was like a mysterious scene of the creation of the world. An ancient and mysterious scripture vaguely appeared, and a sound like a great bell rang out in Lingxiao's ears. Darkness is the source, chaos is the sky, all living things are the body, all living things are the cycle. An ancient voice rang out, containing the majesty and profoundness of the great Tao. Even the dark and cloudy sea of consciousness trembled slightly, making him feel a kind of dark and deathly aura enveloping him. It was as if the world around him and all living things' final destination was an endless land of darkness. This is the real scripture of darkness. Darkness Lingxiao was shocked. Although he had never cultivated the scripture of darkness, he was almost instantly sure that the scripture that the Darkness Demon Emperor passed to him was the scripture of darkness. The vast concept of darkness that enveloped the chaos and caused all living things to return to the void and reincarnate seemed to be able to destroy everything, leaving only eternal darkness in the end. Only the scripture of darkness could have such a terrifying concept and power. However, Darkness Lingxiao did not dare to relax. He was still wary of the Darkness Demon Emperor, and at the same time, he quickly accepted the inheritance of the scripture of darkness. However, the true meaning of the Supreme Imperial Sutra was too vast, causing Darkness Soaring Sky to gradually lose himself. What he did not know was that as he accepted the inheritance of the scripture of darkness, the bones in his body began to tremble slightly. A dark aura was emanating from them. It was ancient, pure, and mysterious. Vaguely, an incomparably mysterious and majestic aura emerged. Dense black inscriptions covered Dark Soaring Sky's bones. Every single inscription contained a vast law of the ways, giving off an eternal presence. Moreover, a mysterious power began to emanate from Dark Soaring Sky's bones. He himself did not know that such a change had occurred in Dark Soaring Cloud's body, and neither did Dark Devil Emperor. Are you already lost? How dare an ant-like thing covet the scripture of darkness? If you don't want to hand over the flowers, then leave your life behind. You're more suitable than those Tao flowers. The Darkness Demon Emperor's face regained its cold and cruel expression as he sneered. There was a hint of heat in his eyes, and in an instant, the dark light around him became incomparably hot. He turned into a stream of light and flew into Darkness Soaring Cloud's sea of consciousness. Rumble! In the dark sea of consciousness, it was as if there were endless thunderbolts blooming. A huge, stalwart, ancient, and majestic black figure appeared in his sea of consciousness. It was like an indomitable demon god, exuding an insufferably arrogant aura. This figure was the Darkness Demon Emperor. He stared at the black nascent spirit enveloped by the scripture of darkness, his eyes full of excitement. How many years has it been? I can finally leave this damned place. You can't trap me, Darkness Demon Emperor. No one can. When I'm free, I'll bathe the Darkness Demon race in blood. He muttered to himself, his body exuding monstrous hatred and murderous intent. Dark Soaring Cloud's nascent spirit had sunk into a state of Tao comprehension. Enveloped by the scripture of darkness, he didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. His nascent spirit seemed to be in a strange state of slumber, floating in the endless darkness as it absorbed the power of the scripture of darkness and grew stronger and stronger. The figure stared at Dark Soaring Clouds. Black demonic light surged around him as he pounced through the air, opening his mouth as if he'd transformed into an incomparably terrifying beast that wanted to devour Dark Soaring Cloud's nascent spirit. Rumble! Black demonic light surged all around. The scripture of darkness had been imparted to Dark Soaring Clouds by the figure, so it didn't hinder the figure in the slightest. It allowed him to approach Dark Soaring Cloud's nascent spirit in the blink of an eye, and the terrifying power of devouring erupted from his mouth. He actually wanted to possess Dark Soaring Firmament. The 100 Tao flowers had been very important to him, but Dark Soaring Clouds seemed to have sensed something and decisively gave up on them. Instead, he used the scripture of darkness to tempt Dark Soaring Clouds and began his possession. Dark Soaring Clouds contained an incomparably dense demonic aura within him, and he possessed the sage constitution of darkness. Unfortunately, he hadn't condensed a Tao fruit, so he was an excellent cauldron for Dark Soaring Clouds. As long as he possessed Dark Soaring Clouds, he'd be able to borrow his body to be reborn and leave this sunless place. Just as he was about to completely devour Dark Soaring Cloud's nascent spirit, the surrounding sea of consciousness suddenly shook and an incomparably mysterious sound wave pervaded the air. At first, the sound wave was very weak, but in the end, it was like a great river, crashing into the heavens and rumbling like a trillion bolts of lightning descending directly. Dark Soaring Cloud's nascent spirit suddenly became illusory and disappeared in front of the figure. What? The figure was completely dumbfounded. He'd never thought that such a change would occur. Rumble! Boundless dark divine light surged within Dark Soaring Cloud's body, and runes rose one after another before finally converging together into a torrent that soared into the sky and entered his sea of consciousness. An incomparably terrifying aura emerged, vaguely forming a huge black palm print. Interwoven with mysterious patterns, it was as if all the worlds in the universe were under this palm. It was overbearing to the extreme. Do you think an evil creature like you can covet the person I've chosen? A thunderous voice exploded in darkness Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. The palm print rumbled and pressed down on the old man who called himself the Dark Demon Emperor. No! The old man's eyes revealed an incomparably frightened look. As if he had thought of something, he couldn't help but shout. But before he could finish his words, the terrifying palm print fell. The old man's body trembled violently and exploded with a loud bang. Boom! Chapter 22-29. After the old man's primordial spirit shattered, the fragments sparkled brilliantly. Vaguely, an ancient and mysterious beast appeared in Dark Firmament's sea of consciousness. The beast exuded a monstrous murderous aura. It looked like a black single-horned rhinoceros. Its body was covered in black dragon scales that looked like mysterious runes. It contained the aura of the Great Tao, and its eyes were filled with endless murderous intent and unwillingness. It floated in Dark Firmament's sea of consciousness, as if it could tear the world apart at any time. Its murderous aura was so dense that it was almost tangible. Rumble! The phantom of the beast instantly entered Dark Firmament's primordial spirit. Dark Ling Zhao's body erupted with boundless black demonic light. The surrounding void violently trembled. Mysterious runes appeared around his body. His entire body began to float. His bones began to glow, exuding an incomparably dense source of darkness. A majestic aura that didn't belong to him erupted from his body. Dark Firmament's aura began to rise. 2 black flowers of the Great Tao appeared above his head. They contained a rich aura of darkness, swaying in the void. As Dark Firmament's comprehension of the scripture of darkness deepened, His entire body seemed to disappear into the dark void. A wave of breakthrough erupted. Boom! Black lightning blazed around him. His entire body instantly soared into the sky. His eyes slowly opened. It was as if he could split the world apart, causing the world to change color. He was majestic and mysterious. The great Tao transformed into divine chains of order, enveloping his body. Runes merged into his body, causing his aura to become more and more terrifying. Above Dark Firmament's head, the third flower of the great Tao slowly bloomed. In an instant, the world shook and the chaos boiled. It was as if all the great Taos of the world were cheering in unison. The vast divine sound of the great Tao resounded through the sky. The third flower of the great Tao looked ethereal and mysterious. It flowed with the fluctuations of time, as if it came from the future and didn't exist in this world. It allowed Dark Firmament to vaguely see the future in the river of time. Is this the heavenly realm? Dark Firmament muttered to himself. Light flashed in his eyes, making him look incomparably mysterious. He felt that his entire body was filled with endless power. He could shatter the void with a raise of his hand. The power of the origin of darkness flowed in his body, causing his body, primordial spirit, and laws to all reach the realm of perfection. The third heavenly realm could be said to be a 12-revolution half-saint. Once he broke through to the saint realm, he would be an invincible saint. Dark Firmament felt that the bottleneck of the saint realm completely disappeared. He could become a saint at any time as long as he wanted. So, that old thing who calls himself the Dark Devil Emperor is actually the ancient ferocious beast, the sky-rending centipede? There was a strange look in Firmament's eyes. The sky-rending Ho was an ancient ferocious beast that had been tamed by the Darkness Devil Emperor. Its strength was extremely terrifying and it had perished together with the Darkness Devil Emperor. However, it had once cultivated the darkness scripture of the Darkness Devil Emperor. However, because it had perished countless years ago, the remnant soul of the sky-rending Ho could only struggle at death's door in this darkness source land. Ling Xiao had refined the remnant soul of the sky-shattering roar, so he had seen part of its memories. As it turned out, it wanted Ling Xiao to kill an expert at the third level of heaven treading because the flower of ways of the expert was a great tonic to it. It could solidify its remnant soul and increase its strength. Unfortunately, Dark Firmament was more cautious and didn't give it the flower of ways. That was why the Dark Firmament had to take the risk of passing the scripture of darkness to Dark Firmament and find an opportunity to possess it. However, it didn't expect that not only did it fail to possess Dark Firmament, but its soul would also completely disperse. It died in an extremely aggrieved manner. When I was comprehending the scripture of darkness, I really did fall into a state of unconsciousness. How did the Dark Firmament die? Dark Firmament felt a lingering fear, but he was also extremely puzzled. When he woke up, the soul of the Dark Firmament had already shattered into countless pieces. As for how the Dark Firmament died, Dark Firmament didn't remember. He couldn't find it in the memories of the Dark Firmament. This feeling of not being able to control was very unpleasant. Could it be that I have some power that can restrain the soul of the Dark Firmament? Dark Firmament thought to himself. However, he couldn't find anything after a careful examination. He simply stopped thinking about it and carefully studied the scripture of darkness he had obtained. This scripture of darkness is indeed a supreme scripture. It comes from the same origin as the cultivation methods of the Dark Firmament sect. It contains supreme power that can lead to the Emperor realm. Hun Tian and Yu Luosha clearly know that I have the sacred body of darkness, but they didn't pass the scripture of darkness to me. They probably don't trust me. However, they didn't expect that I would be able to obtain the complete scripture of darkness here. I just heard from the Dark Firmament that the Dark Firmament seemed to know the whereabouts of the Dark Firmament, but why didn't I see any information about the Dark Firmament in its memories? Dark Firmament sneered and muttered to himself. The Dark Firmament sect was the orthodoxy of the Dark Firmament Emperor and they had the complete scripture of darkness. However, they didn't pass it down to Dark Firmament. Dark Firmament knew that Hun Tian and Yu Luosha were still holding back. As for the Dark Firmament wheel, it was the Dark Firmament Emperor's apex emperor weapon. The Dark Firmament sect had been searching for the Dark Firmament Wheel all these years, but they didn't find anything. Legend has it that the Scripture of Darkness and the Dark Firmament Wheel can sense each other. If the Dark Firmament Wheel is in the chaotic ancient land, I might be able to find the whereabouts of the Dark Firmament Wheel with the help of the Scripture of Darkness. Dark Firmament's eyes lit up slightly as he made up his mind. If he could obtain the Dark Firmament Wheel, an apex emperor weapon like the Dark Firmament Wheel, he would immediately possess invincible combat strength. He would even be able to fight against a great sage or sage ruler. He might even be able to kill them. The valley in front of him contained rich darkness origin energy. It was a good place for him to cultivate the Scripture of Darkness. Dark Firmament decided to stay here and focus on cultivating the Scripture of Darkness. Have you heard? Long Outyen of the War God Temple killed the Blood Prison Emperor of the Demon Realm and obtained the supreme treasure from the Blood Prison Emperor. Long Outyen? Isn't he dead? I didn't expect him to come to the chaotic ancient land alive. That's right. I didn't expect the human race to have such a peerless genius. The son of the Heavenly Emperor already made people feel that the human race's luck was endless. I didn't expect the human race to have such a monster like Long Outyen. So what if he's a monster? I've heard that the Blood Prison Emperor's death has enraged the Demon Realm. Even the Blood Prison Emperor has issued a decree for the Demon Realm to kill Long Outyen. I've heard that the original prince and the undying prince have begun to gather the elites of the demon race to hunt Long Outyen. Hunt Long Outyen? The Demon Realm has really gone mad. Chapter 2230. The chaotic ancient land was in an uproar because of a piece of news. No one knew where the news came from, but Long Outyen of the War God Temple had killed the Blood Prison Emperor's son of the Demon Realm. This news shocked everyone. Who was the Blood Prison Emperor's son? The original prince, the Blood Prison Emperor's son, and the undying prince were the strongest in the Demon Realm. Legend had it that they had all reached the third heaven realm. They were the ones who stood at the peak of the chaotic ancient land. Some people even thought that the three princes were on par with the emperors of the human race. They were the most promising people to become the chosen ones. Now that Long Outyen had killed the Blood Prison Emperor's son, Long Outyen's name instantly spread throughout the chaotic ancient land. Many people were looking for Long Outyen's whereabouts. At this moment, the original prince and the undying prince also announced at the same time that they would lead the experts of the demon race to hunt Long Outyen. They also issued a kill order. Anyone who could provide Long Outyen's whereabouts and kill him would be able to obtain a supreme emperor scripture. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was simply a matter of life and death. Among the many people looking for Long Outyen, there were those who wanted to help Long Outyen secretly. There were also those who had ulterior motives. But because of this news, all of them were in an uproar. On a towering mountain peak, the Wuji saint stood with his hands behind his back. The Yuanshan saint stood behind him respectfully. Yuanshan, shouldn't you give me an explanation for this? The Wuji saint said faintly without turning his head. The Yuanshan saint's expression turned cold. He quickly said, "Brother Wuji, I'm doing this for the good of the human race." For the good of the human race? I don't see it. I only see that after you spread this news, Long Outyen will become the target of public criticism. Even if he is a genius, it will be difficult for him to escape the hunt of the demon race. The Wuji saint slowly turned around and stared at the Yuanshan saint with a sharp gaze. The Yuanshan saint coughed and said with a smile, "Brother Wuji, you really misunderstood me. I didn't expect Long Outyen to be able to kill the Blood Prison Emperor's son. This was the result of Tianzi's divination. He felt that this was a good opportunity to wipe out all the devil experts in one fell swoop. Original Prince and Undying Prince had joined forces with countless demon clan rankers to surround and hunt Long Ao Tian. However, they did not know that the mantis stalks the cicada while the oriole is behind. The Son of Heaven would lead many experts to capture Original Prince and Undying Prince in one fell swoop. At that time, His Excellency the Son of Heaven will become the heaven's chosen son and create the new era of the human race. It will be another grand event for the human race. When mentioning the Son of Heaven, Yuanshan Saint Sun's face was also full of fanaticism. But if that's the case, I'm afraid Long Outyin will die. The Wuji Saint said after a moment of silence. Long Outyin should feel honored. The Yuanshan Saint sneered and said, using his life in exchange for the future of the human tribe, in exchange for the annihilation of all the demon tribe's prodigies. Even if he knew, he would definitely agree. This is for the greater good of our human race. Even if we have to sacrifice him, we have no other choice. Have no choice? Yuanshan, if Long Outyin hadn't saved you in the end, I'm afraid you would have died in the hands of the Blood Prison Emperor. I didn't expect that even you would seek refuge with the Son of Heaven. Your so-called greater good of the human race shouldn't be based on sacrificing Long Outyin. This is unfair to him. Sorry, I won't participate in your affairs. The Wuji Saint said lightly. Brother Wuji, I admit that you are very strong. You have the chaotic sacred body, cultivate the chaotic secret technique, and are the successor of the chaotic heavenly sect. But you don't understand the greatness of the Son of Heaven. I advise you to think about it carefully. If you follow the Son of Heaven, your future will be infinitely bright. But if you refuse the Son of Heaven, I'm afraid it's not a wise choice. The Yuanshan Saint's son sneered, and the respect in his eyes for the Wuji Saint began to dissipate slowly. There was even a sense of superiority in his eyes, and his expression was incomparably cold. The Son of Heaven? I really want to see how strong he is. Yuanshan, since you have made a choice, then from today onwards, our friendship will be severed. From now on, we will be strangers to each other. The Wuji Saint's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness as he stared at the Yuanshan Saint's son and said coldly, Brother Wuji, I hope you won't regret it in the future. The Yuanshan Saint's son smiled faintly, then turned around and soared into the sky. Soon, he turned into a stream of flowing light and disappeared into the horizon. Long Outyin, good luck. The Wuji Saint stood in the clouds and muttered to himself with a somewhat complicated expression. Then he flew in another direction. The blood sea was boiling, and a blood cocoon looked like a blood-red sun, blooming with dazzling light. Ling Xiao had been cultivating in the blood cocoon for 9 days, and there was still no sign of him coming out. Swoosh! A figure flew from a distance at an extremely fast speed and arrived in the blood sea in an instant. Old goat, what's the situation outside? Taoist Wuliang looked at the figure and asked. That figure was Old Goat. Ling Xiao had fallen into a state of cultivation in the blood cocoon. Jin Sei, Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Feng Qingyang were guarding Ling Xiao. However, they still felt that the death of the Blood Hell Emperor's son was very important, so they asked Old Goat to go out and inquire about the situation. The situation is very bad. The news that Ling Xiao killed the Blood Hell Emperor's son has been spread out. Now, many people are looking for Ling Xiao's whereabouts, and the original Emperor's son and the undying Emperor's son are preparing to lead the demon race experts to hunt Ling Xiao. Old Goat frowned and told him what he knew from the outside world. What? This must be the news that the Wuji and Yuanshan Saint's sons spread. They are really ungrateful. If Ling Xiao did not hold back the Blood Hell Emperor's son and the Blood Demon Emperor, they would not have been able to escape. Feng Qingyang's eyes were filled with disbelief as he said angrily, We were originally in a hostile state with them, but we temporarily joined forces to fight against the Blood Hell Emperor's son. However, the Wuji Saint and Yuanshan Saint's son really deserve to die. Taoist Wuliang's eyes also revealed a trace of killing intent. This news caught them off guard. Ling Xiao had killed the Blood Hell Emperor's son. Although they knew that this matter was bound to cause an uproar, it was impossible for ordinary people to know that the Blood Hell Emperor's son was dead. They expected that even if this matter fermented, it would still take some time for them to deal with it calmly. However, they did not expect this matter to erupt so quickly. The entire chaotic ancient land was boiling because of this matter. Although they were angry at the ingratitude of the Wuji Saint and Yuanshan Saint's son, what was more important was how to deal with the next crisis. Ling Xiao was still cultivating in the blood cocoon. It seemed that he had reached a critical moment, so they did not want to disturb his cultivation. However, since the original Emperor's son and the undying Emperor's son had said that they would hunt Ling Xiao down, It would not take long for them to find this place. Chapter 2231. Jin Sei, what should we do? The old goat looked at Jin Sei and asked. Taoist Wuliang and Feng Qingyang looked at Jin Sei at the same time. Ling Xiao was in the midst of his cultivation and they had unknowingly treated Jin Sei as their pillar of support. Jin Sei thought for a moment and said slowly, since the original prince and the undying prince have decided to hunt Ling Xiao down, we can't let our guard down, regardless of whether the Wuji Saint and the Yuanshan Saint have exposed this place. I will set up the supreme yin-yang formation here and seal this place. Hopefully, it can buy us some time. When Ling Xiao comes out, we will leave immediately. Supreme yin-yang formation? Is it the legendary protective formation of the Taishang Dao Palace? That's great. The supreme yin-yang formation is said to be the supreme emperor formation. Even if it can produce 1 in 10,000 of the emperor formation, it will be enough for us to protect ourselves. The old goat's eyes lit up. What's so great about it? Junior sister Jin Sei, I disagree. It's true that the supreme yin-yang formation is the supreme emperor formation of the Taishang Dao Palace. However, even a sage would find it difficult to set up this formation with his own strength. You can't take the risk. Feng Qingyang quickly stopped her, his eyes filled with worry. I've made up my mind. I have the Taishang Dao body and the Taishang sword. Although I will have to pay a price, it shouldn't be a problem to set up the supreme yin-yang formation. However, you have to help me. Jin Sei said flatly with a calm expression. But Feng Qingyang wanted to refute, but when he saw Jin Sei's expression, he knew that Jin Sei had made up her mind. He smiled bitterly in his heart and nodded without saying anything. Jin Sei, thank you. The old goat and Taoist Wuliang said solemnly. Although they knew that Jin Sei and Ling Xiao would not hesitate to die for each other, the current Jin Sei was not the Jin Sei of the past. She did not remember Ling Xiao and had forgotten the past. However, she was still willing to take the risk for Ling Xiao, which was already commendable. You're welcome. I owe him this. Jin Sei said flatly. Swoosh. She instantly soared into the sky. Her red dress fluttered like flowing flames. Her white hair danced in the wind, making her look like a fairy from the 9th heaven. She had a peerless aura. Her eyes were dazzling and resplendent like the stars in the 9 heavens. They were deep and vast, and they contained an indifferent emotion like the heaven Tao. At this moment, she looked up at the sky. Dazzling sword light shot out from her eyes, piercing through the void. Rumble. A vast and mysterious aura fluctuated around her. It was like the mysterious way of the heavens, filled with the power of the origin of the great path. It was like streaks of dazzling sword light. They formed around her and shot downwards in an instant. Jin Sei used a yin-yang secret technique and chaotic mist rose around her. Heaven and earth trembled violently as a vast and ancient aura gushed out. A huge formation descended from the sky, enveloping Ling Xiao and the surrounding blood sea. Clouds and mist swirled around them and instantly fused with the surrounding space. Rumble. Lightning blazed and rose. An ancient world seemed to have formed around Jin Sei. Yin and yang qi rose and divine chains of order traversed the void, forming streaks of blazing sword light. It was like a domain of swords. Jin Sei's face turned pale at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was obvious that such a formation was a huge burden on her. The Taishang sword in Jin Sei's hand soared into the sky, blooming with dazzling light. It instantly flew into the huge formation and landed in the center. It was like a divine pillar that shot straight into the sky. Rumble. Within the huge formation boundary, divine light surged, lightning blazed, and sword qi wreaked havoc. Vaguely, a vast Taiji diagram appeared. Jin Sei stood in the middle of the Taiji diagram. Her aura rose in the eyes of the black yin-yang fish. Terrifying power was injected into the Taiji diagram. Feng Qingyang. Jin Sei said softly. Yes. Feng Qingyang, who had long been prepared, soared into the sky. Blazing flames rose from his body, blooming with endless light and heat. He landed directly on the white yin-yang fish eye. Rumble. Yin and yang qi flowed between Jinsei and Feng Qingyang. A lofty and mysterious aura erupted. It was as if the heavenly way had manifested and dominated this part of the world. The power in Jinsei and Feng Qingyang's body surged madly into the formation, causing the aura of the formation to weaken. Then, it completely merged with the surrounding heaven and earth. The formation is complete. Jinsei scolded softly. She then bit the tip of her tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. Blood mist rolled and every drop of blood became sparkling and translucent. They fell into the surrounding void and interweaved into a mysterious net, concealing it. Zhou Tian shook violently. The sun and moon lost their light. Divine light turned into a storm and spread in all directions. Powerful spatial fluctuations shook. One could vaguely see that a huge formation had enveloped this part of the void. The clouds outside had completely turned into a part of the Avalon of 5 elements. Jinsei and Feng Qingyang shuddered and almost fell from the void. Old Goat and Taoist Wuliang were quick to react. They quickly leaped into the sky and helped the two of them down. The supreme yin-yang formation has been completed. Even a sage would find it difficult to discover this place. Moreover, the supreme yin-yang formation has both offensive and defensive capabilities. It should be able to buy some time. Let's hope Ling Xiao can come out soon. Jinsei said slowly with a pale face. Junior sister Jinsei, don't talk anymore. Quickly consume this healing elixir and recuperate. Feng Qingyang said worriedly as he passed the elixir bottle to Jinsei after consuming a sacred elixir. I'm fine. Jinsei shook her head. She did not consume the elixir. Instead, she sat down with her legs crossed. The aura around her was mysterious and ethereal. She began to devour the origin energy around her to heal herself. Let's hope Ling Xiao can come out soon. Although the supreme yin-yang formation is strong, I'm afraid it can't contend with the original prince and the undying prince. Old Goat looked at Ling Xiao and said worriedly. I can also smell a dangerous aura approaching. 9 days have passed. I'm afraid the original prince and the undying prince will arrive soon. This time, the demons are determined to take Ling Xiao's life. No matter what, we have to help him buy some time. Taoist Wuliang took a deep breath and said. The space they were in had been enveloped by the supreme yin-yang formation. From the outside, this area was surrounded by clouds and looked very ordinary. It was no different from the other areas in the Avalon of 5 elements. Chapter 2232. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook violently. Clouds and mist surged as if a magnificent army was galloping towards them. The monstrous aura instantly broke the tranquility of the Avalon of 5 elements and arrived at this peaceful sea of clouds. It was a group of demon clan experts wearing black armor and riding black unicorns. Their auras were monstrous and filled the air with killing intent. Their bodies were shrouded in darkness, revealing only a pair of cruel and bloodthirsty eyes. They were like a black torrent that came from afar. Their footsteps were orderly and silent. An incomparably oppressive aura filled the air, causing one's heart to tremble. Stop! The leader of the black-armored knights waved his hand. Immediately, everyone stopped in their tracks and stood rooted to the ground. Under the orders of the original prince and the undying prince, the Devil Sky Army will be the vanguard. According to our intelligence, Long Outyin is hiding in the Avalon of 5 elements. I hope that everyone can find Long Outyin's whereabouts before the 2 princes arrive. When the time comes, the princes will not be stingy with their rewards. The leader of the black-armored knights swept his cold gaze across the crowd and said, Yes. Numerous black-armored knights shouted in unison, their voices shaking the clouds. Now, split into groups of 5 and search for Long Outyin's whereabouts. With the black-armored leader's command, the demonic Sky Legion immediately spread out like a flood. Groups of 5 people surged out in all directions. Rumble. Their bodies emitted a monstrous amount of demonic light as they charged through the Avalon of 5 elements with huge spears in their hands. Spear radiance swept in all directions, searching for the existence of the void boundary. They advanced in all directions in an orderly manner, hoping to find the whereabouts of Ling Xiao and the rest. "They're here." When the Devil Sky Army arrived at the Avalon of 5 Elements, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Feng Qingyang had already discovered their tracks. They didn't intend to hide their auras and barged in so arrogantly. Do they really think we're pushovers? But to mobilize 10,000 Demon Clan experts at once, it's really a big move. The old goat sneered. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. These black-armored knights weren't only at the semi-sage realm. Moreover, there were more than 10,000 of them. They were connected to each other in a battle array. Their auras were extremely terrifying. Every one of them was a veteran of hundreds of battles. Their strength was extremely formidable. Even a sage would not dare to face the might of the Devil Sky Army head-on. The original prince and the undying prince did not appear. I'm afraid that the Devil Sky Army is only their vanguard. This time, it seems that the demon bastards of the Devil Realm have really gone crazy. They won't stop until they kill us. Taoist Wuliang said slowly. Well, wait. Jin Se has already laid down the supreme yin-yang grand array. With the strength of these fiend whelps, it's still impossible for them to discover our whereabouts. We can't expose our position right now. The old goat glanced at Jin Se, who was still recuperating, and said coldly, "That's the only way. Now is not the time to alert the enemy." Taoist Wuliang nodded. There were tens of thousands of experts in the vanguard. The imposing manner of the Devil Sky Army also gave the old goat and Taoist Wuliang a lot of pressure. However, they were confident in the supreme yin-yang grand array laid down by Jin Se. The Devil Sky Army should not be able to discover them during this period of time. Rumble. The Demonic Sky Army began a large-scale search for Ling Xiao's whereabouts in the entire Avalon of 5 Elements. The calm and peaceful sea of clouds became turbulent and turbulent. The floating mountains were smashed into fine powder by the Demonic Sky Army. Every nook and cranny of the void was checked by them. They were extremely violent. Everywhere they went, they were like locusts passing through. They did not let go of any traces. The void trembled violently. Some parts of the void even shattered. Endless void turbulence surged and wreaked havoc in all directions. The Devil Sky Army used 3 days to search the entire Avalon of 5 Elements. However, it was a pity that they did not find anything. Report, there's nothing in the east. Report, there's nothing in the west. Report, there's nothing in the south. Warriors in black armor rushed over from all directions and reported to the leader of the Devil Sky Army in the center. That Long Outyin is really good at hiding. The Avalon of 5 Elements has been sealed by us. I'm sure he's still there. Continue to search. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you have to find Long Outyin. The leader of the Devil Sky Army said with an ugly expression. Although the Devil Sky Army was the vanguard, they were also the power that original prince relied on the most. They had searched here for 3 days but did not find anything. It was difficult to report to the 2 princes. Yes. Many of the warriors in black armor dispersed and headed in all directions again. They were prepared to search for a second time. Rumble. At this moment, blazing divine light rose in the void. Heaven and earth shook. A group of figures with terrifying auras descended from the 9 heavens and landed in the sea of clouds. Leading them were 2 handsome young men. One was wearing a black robe, while the other was wearing a white robe. Both of them had an imposing aura and emitted an ancient and dignified aura. Greetings to the 2 princes. When the leader of the Devil Sky Army saw the 2 young men, he could not help but tremble. He quickly went forward and bowed. Rise. Did you not find any traces of Long Outyin in these 3 days? He hid it really well. Original Prince said indifferently. There was a cold glint in his eyes. He was wearing a black robe. His figure was slender and strong. His long black hair was draped behind his head. His face was extremely handsome. His eyes were deep and cold. He had a dignified aura. Standing beside him was the undying prince in a white robe. He looked handsome and elegant. His long white hair danced in the wind. There was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were deep and vicissitudes of life seemed to contain a vast world. Both of their auras were extremely terrifying. They did not hide it at all. They were like two blazing suns, emitting a vast and powerful aura. Behind them, there was a group of experts with different appearances. There were old and young, men and women. All of them were unruly and had unfathomable auras. Among those people, there were experts from the devil race and experts from other races. They had all followed the two princes to kill Ling Xiao and share the supreme inheritance on Ling Xiao. "Prince, I am incompetent." The leader of the Devil Sky Army smiled bitterly. "It's not that you are incompetent. It's that Long Outyin is too cunning. I have already sensed that the Blood Hell Prince died here. Long Outyin should not have left yet. The inheritance of the Blood Devil Emperor is not that easy to refine." Primordial Prince sneered. "Since he is not willing to come out, then force him out." He dared to kill the Blood Hell Prince. It is not his style to hide like this. Undying Prince said slowly. His voice was indifferent and ethereal. It sounded very strange, as if it contained the aura of endless time. Chapter 2233. I want to see where Long Outyin can hide. Original Prince laughed coldly, his eyes filled with cold, murderous intent. Previously, in the battle with Ling Xiao, the original prince had been defeated and fled, causing him to feel extremely humiliated. He had even developed a mental demon, and he was also the person who wanted Ling Xiao's life the most. Now that he was in the sea of clouds in the Avalon of 5 elements, he was the first to attack. Rumble. Original Prince was surrounded by a black demonic light. Ancient runes bloomed in the void and instantly formed a sky full of flames. They contained a mysterious and ancient aura, as if they could destroy the heavens and the earth. This was the primordial devil flame cultivated by the prince of primordial origin. It originated from his bloodline and was his innate ability. Legend had it that it was the supreme flame of the primordial devil emperor, capable of incinerating thousands of worlds. It was infamous in ancient times. The original demonic flame burned fiercely in the void, as if it could burn anything. The clouds were ablaze, forming a sky full of flames that spread in all directions. Original Prince, are you trying to destroy the entire Avalon of 5 elements? A demon race expert shuddered and cried out in alarm. Original Prince is unfathomable, and the original demonic flame is the supreme flame. It seems like Long Outyin can't escape this time. That's right. Under the original demonic flame, no formation can hide. Many demon experts were filled with confidence. Their eyes were filled with coldness and murderous intent, ready to attack at any time. In the void, a terrifying aura was brewing. It was as dangerous as a volcano that was about to erupt. The Avalon of 5 elements was a secret territory in the chaotic ancient land. It was rumored to have the inheritance of an ancient expert. It was extremely mysterious, causing the laws here to be different from the outside world. It was filled with the rich origin of 5 elements. Even a sage would find it difficult to investigate the entire Avalon of 5 elements. The Devil Sky Army could not find the whereabouts of Ling Xiao and the rest. Original Prince guessed that Ling Xiao and the rest must have set up a powerful concealment formation. He did not bother to investigate. Instead, he simply used the original demonic flame. The primal demonic flames could burn the heavens and extinguish the earth. Whether it was all living things or the great Tao laws, they could all be transformed into the energy of the primal demonic flames. When Ling Xiao fought with Ling Xiao before, Ling Xiao found it extremely difficult to deal with. In the supreme yin-yang formation, the faces of the old goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang turned ghastly pale. Damn it! I never thought that the original prince would actually use the primordial devil flame. Under such circumstances, I'm afraid that we will be exposed soon. The old goat said hatefully. There's nothing we can do about it. Original Prince and Undying Prince have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. Their strength is unfathomable. It won't be hard for them to find us. We can only hope that Ling Xiao wakes up soon. Taoist Wu Yang glanced at Ling Xiao in the distance. A huge, blood-red cocoon floated in the sea of blood. It radiated with endless light and heat, constantly devouring the surrounding blood-red light. At the same time, blood-red tentacles extended into the depths of space, absorbing energy from the endless space. The blood-red cocoon was extremely dazzling at this moment, like a blood-red sun. The old goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and the rest could feel the terrifying energy contained in the blood-red cocoon. It was as if Ling Xiao could break through at any time. What should we do now? With our strength, we are definitely not a match for these demon bastards. Feng Qingyang said with some reluctance. Although he wanted to rush out and fight with these demon race experts, he knew that it was unrealistic. The hunt for Ling Xiao this time was led by the original prince and the undying prince. Almost all the prodigies of the devil world were mobilized. There was even the devil sky army. In the face of such terrifying power, even a saint would be torn to pieces instantly. Even if they can find us, it won't be that easy for them to break through the supreme yin-yang formation. We have to fight for time for Ling Xiao. If we can't defeat them in the end, we can only forcefully wake Ling Xiao up and escape from here. Jin Se said calmly. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. The old goat and the rest nodded. If it came down to it, this was the only way. Although they could feel that this seclusion was extremely important to Ling Xiao, and it might even determine whether Ling Xiao could step into a higher realm, they could only forcefully wake Ling Xiao up if it was a matter of life and death. After all, saving their lives was more important. Rumble. As the primordial demonic flames spread out, it instantly enveloped a radius of tens of thousands of miles. The surrounding space violently trembled and distorted. The clouds and mist had turned into a part of the sea of flames. Even the mountains floating above the sea of clouds were burned to ashes by the sea of flames. The original prince floated in the sky, with demonic light spewing out from his body. His eyes were as sharp as swords, exuding endless killing intent. Especially the domineering and majestic aura on his body, it was as if a demon emperor had awakened. Kacha! A crisp sound rang out in the void as runes were annihilated. Then, the void distorted and blazing divine light rose. The primordial demonic flames seemed to have encountered some kind of obstruction and could no longer spread forward. In the void, yin and yang qi flowed and an ancient and mysterious formation world vaguely appeared. The supreme yin-yang array had appeared. It is indeed an array. What array is this? The original prince sneered. His eyes were blazing, but suddenly his eyes flashed. He realized that when the primordial demon flames came into contact with the array world, a surge of yin and yang qi flowed, devouring the primordial demon flames and turning them into the power of the array. In front of this great array, the primordial devil flame actually had no way to break it open. The supreme yin-yang array of the Supreme Tao Palace? I didn't expect there to be people from the Supreme Tao Palace here. It seems like the War God Hall and the Supreme Tao Palace have formed an alliance. The undying prince's eyes flashed as he said calmly. He seemed to be very familiar with the forces in the divine world. He could tell at a glance that the array before him was the Supreme Tao Palace's protective array. Someone from the Supreme Tao Palace? I heard that most of the disciples in the Supreme Tao Palace are female. Could it be that the legendary holy maiden with the Supreme Tao body is here? Open the array obediently. If you are willing to be my concubine, I can spare your life. The original prince sneered. He did not hide his voice at all, and it exploded in the void like thunder. Damn it! This bastard dares to flirt with junior sister Jin Se? If he didn't run fast enough last time, he would have been beaten to death by Ling Xiao. Chapter 2234. Looks like you're really going to be cowards. Who's going to break this formation for me? Original Prince sneered and then said to the many demon experts behind him, Your Highness, the Devil Sky Army is willing to break this formation. As soon as Original Prince finished speaking, the leader of the Devil Sky Army stood out and knelt on one knee before Original Prince. He said respectfully. Original Prince nodded with satisfaction and said, Very good. The Devil Sky Army's sacred devouring formation hasn't been used for a long time. Wild Wolf, break this formation for me today with the sacred devouring formation. Yes, Your Highness. Wild Wolf, the leader of the Devil Sky Army, cupped his fists and stood up. Facing the tens of thousands of Devil Sky Army experts, an extremely terrifying aura erupted from his body. Rumble. Yi Lang was also an expert at the third level of heaven treading. Demonic chi surged around him, and even the laws of the Grand Tao trembled with his presence. A ferocious presence erupted from him. Set up the sacred devouring formation. Wild Wolf roared angrily. Kill, 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 kill. Immediately, the entire Devil Sky Army began to roar in unison. Their voices were like monstrous waves that swept in all directions. The auras of the black-armored knights surged out. There seemed to be mysterious runes flickering between them. A terrifying aura erupted. If the previous demonic Sky Legion was like a magnificent army charging forward, then the demonic Sky Legion that had formed the sacred sky-devouring great array was like an ancient god-fiend that could destroy the heavens and earth. That overwhelming aura made one's heart tremble. Rumble. The void shook. Just the aura alone caused the surrounding space to distort. The tens of thousands of black-armored knights of the Devil Sky Army raised the battle spears in their hands. The spear light seemed to be able to pierce through the sky and lock onto the supreme yin-yang formation in front of them. Sky-splitting form. Wild Wolf roared. In an instant, all the black-armored knights of the Devil Sky Army unleashed a terrifying power at the same time and shot out the black battle spears in their hands. Tens of thousands of black battle spears were densely packed and gathered in the void. The demonic light that filled the sky surged and formed a huge spear light that was 1,000,000 feet long. It rumbled and blasted towards the supreme yin-yang formation. Can the supreme yin-yang formation block it? The old goat and Taoist Wu-yang couldn't help but be shocked as they thought. The Devil Sky Army's great saint devouring array was too terrifying. That destructive aura made even saints feel numb. It was difficult to resist. Jin Se did not say anything, but her slender fingers gripped the Taishang sword tightly. She looked straight ahead, her eyes filled with a strong will to fight. Rumble. The supreme yin-yang formation. To the supreme yin-yang formation. To break two. In the end, the supreme yin-yang formation didn't break. After a violent tremor, it blocked the terrifying spear light and held on. The supreme yin-yang formation still lacks a supreme treasure as the formation eye. If we have an extreme Tao Emperor weapon, even a supreme sage or king sage wouldn't be able to break it. Feng Qingyang said with some reluctance. I hope the supreme yin-yang formation can hold on for a while longer. The old goat said with a wry smile. Sky-breaking style. The killing intent in Wild Wolf's eyes blazed as he roared again. Suddenly, the void churned violently. Terrifying roars of beasts rang out. They were ancient, majestic, and mysterious. It was like an ancient beast had awakened. Endless demonic light interweaved in the void, forming an incomparably terrifying primordial beast. Black true dragons, black fallen phoenixes, black cheilants, black giant condors. All sorts of primordial ferocious beasts appeared in the void, all exuding monstrous killing intent. They looked lifelike as if they had come back to life. Those primordial beasts roared and pounced towards the supreme yin-yang formation. Their terrifying aura rose. When they came into contact with the supreme yin-yang formation, they self-exploded. Those primordial beasts were fearless and their strength was terrifying. Every time they self-exploded, it would set off a terrifying divine light storm that crushed everything around it. The supreme yin-yang formation trembled violently. Although the yin and yang qi had formed a perfect balance, it started to weaken in the face of the self-explosion. Although the yin and yang qi could devour energy to replenish itself, it couldn't keep up with the intense consumption. Sky-breaking style. Sky-breaking style. Wild Wolf commanded the demonic Sky Army and unleashed the strongest power of the supreme yin-yang formation. Tens of thousands of experts fused together and unleashed terrifying attacks on the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation again and again. Rumble. The Supreme Yin-Yang Formation trembled violently. The runes were extremely dazzling and exploded one after another. It was like a beautiful rain of light that sprinkled down. Its strength started to weaken rapidly. The Supreme Yin-Yang Formation of the Demonic Sky Army was like the heavenly might. It hovered above the heads of Old Goat and the others, causing their hearts to be in their mouths. If the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation was destroyed, they would have to face the Demonic Sky Army and many experts of the Demon Clan. A bloody battle would be inevitable. Sky-breaking style. Wild Wolf howled. The terrifying demonic light around his body instantly soared into the sky. Rumble. Tens of thousands of black-armored knights soared into the sky at the same time. Boundless demonic light floated up and down, forming a huge and ancient rune in the void. The void trembled violently and a huge figure vaguely appeared. The figure exuded a vast saint might. It was as if it had walked out from an endless time and space, causing the heavens and earth to tremble violently. The figure slammed its palm down from the sky. The palm print was ancient and mysterious. It contained a monstrous pressure and directly imprinted on the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation. Rumble. The void trembled violently. The Supreme Yin-Yang Formation trembled violently. Runes exploded one after another as if it had reached its limit and couldn't withstand such terrifying power. The figure slammed down another palm print. Under the superposition of the two palm prints, the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation couldn't withstand such a terrifying attack and exploded with a loud bang. Light rain swirled in the void. Chaotic mist rose and revealed the figures of Jin Se, Old Goat, and the others. The Supreme Yin-Yang Formation has been destroyed. Chapter 2235. Rumble. The Supreme Yin-Yang Formation exploded. Even the perfectly balanced Yin and Yang Qi could not stop the power of the Demonic Sky Army and was turned into dust. Kill! Wild Wolf roared angrily. He led the experts of the Devil Sky Corps and charged into the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation. Monstrous killing intent was directed at Jin Se, Old Goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang. Supreme! Jin Se's eyes flashed as she leaped into the air. The Taishang sword in her hand shone with unparalleled light. In an instant, the Yin and Yang Qi flowed. The Taishang Yin-Yang Formation, which had been broken, appeared once again. However, the formation barrier looked incomparably weak, as if it would collapse at any moment. Get ready for a fight. Jin Se glanced at the blood cocoon in the blood sea. Ling Xiao had not come out of seclusion yet. She said to Old Goat and the rest. Then she flew towards the Demonic Sky Army. Kill. You bastards, do you think I'm afraid of you? Old Goat gritted his teeth and charged forward with a roar. Rumble. An extremely intense battle broke out in the void in an instant. There were tens of thousands of experts in the Demonic Sky Army. Every one of them had been through hundreds of battles. They were filled with killing intent and fighting spirit. They charged forward fearlessly. Demonic light and figures filled the sky and seemed to have drowned Jin Se and the rest. Even the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation, which had been formed again, was trembling violently as if it was about to break. Kacha! Monstrous sword qi radiated from Jin Se's body. She was like a female sword saint. She pointed her slender finger in the air and a blazing sword radiance flew across the sky. It pierced through the forehead of a black-armored warrior and split him in half. Killing intent surged around the Old Goat. An ancient and mysterious world vaguely appeared behind him, containing a monstrous devouring force. After a black-armored knight was knocked unconscious by a kick, he was directly tossed into the devouring sacred domain, where he was devoured along with his horse. Old Goat's true form was Tao Tai. He had also cultivated the devouring secret skill to the complete realm. At that moment, he unleashed his full power, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Taoist Wu Yang's clothes fluttered in the wind. He looked carefree and unrestrained. With a wave of his sleeve, hundreds of millions of flying swords formed in the void. The sword radiance was sharp as it rained down on the demonic sky army. Feng Qingyang was surrounded by flames. He looked like a sun god of war. He gave off boundless light and heat Sunday. His attacks were extremely domineering. With a punch, he could kill a black-armored warrior and burn him into ashes in the void. Jin Se, Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Feng Qingyang actually blocked the Devil Sky Army's attack, preventing them from approaching Ling Xiao. However, it could be seen that the numerous experts of the Devil Sky Corps were extremely powerful. Moreover, they cooperated very well with each other. Apart from the initial few people who were killed by Jin Se's group, there were very few casualties after that. Jin Se's group was surrounded by the Devil Sky Corps and suffered a storm of attacks. I'm afraid Ling Xiao is in that blood cocoon. How could it be so easy to obtain the inheritance of the Blood Demon Emperor? You'd better die. Original Prince's eyes flashed as he saw the blood cocoon floating in the blood sea. He could not help but laugh coldly. Rumble! He leaped into the sky, covered in primordial demonic flame. He slammed his palm down on Ling Xiao. The flames burned fiercely, causing the blood sea to boil. Oh no! Jin Se's face changed. Sword radiance rose and forced the black-armored warriors to retreat. The Taishang sword gave off an unparalleled sword radiance and pierced towards Original Prince. Kill! Wild Wolf howled. He held a huge mountain-splitting axe in his hand. His muscles were tight and he was filled with explosive power. He slashed towards Jin Se. Get lost! Jin Se's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The Taishang sword contained an unparalleled sword aura. It collided with the mountain-splitting axe and exploded. Sparks flew and divine radiance surged. At that moment, Original Prince was already in front of the blood cocoon. His palm, covered in primordial demonic flame, was about to hit the blood cocoon. Clang! A crisp sound rang out as flames rose in front of Prince Original's eyes. Golden light blazed as an ancient three-legged two-eared cauldron descended from the sky. It buzzed as it blocked Prince Original's path. When Original Prince's palm landed on the ancient cauldron, a clear and melodious sound rang out. The ancient cauldron trembled slightly, and a terrifying aura erupted from within, causing Original Prince's expression to change, and he was sent flying backwards. Who's there? Primordial Prince's eyes were cold as he stared at the ancient cauldron that was burning with flames. He didn't expect that at this time, someone would suddenly appear out of nowhere. You demon bastards are too shameless, aren't you? If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. What's the point of bullying me with numbers? An insolent, domineering, and arrogant voice exploded in the void. Buzz. The void shook slightly. A young man in golden armor and a bright red cloak walked out of the void. He waved his hand and the ancient cauldron floated above his head. It was an extremely handsome young man. His figure was slender and robust, and his skin was as translucent as jade. The golden armor he wore was extremely gorgeous, and he wore a jade crown. The aura he exuded was extremely powerful, radiating boundless light and heat. It was as if the surrounding space was about to ignite. A crimson bird stood on his shoulder. It had 3 legs and its eyes looked very intelligent. There was a flash of golden flame in its eyes. He looked extremely arrogant. He stood with his hands behind his back as if he was the best in the world. He was full of arrogance and domineering aura. Zhao Ritian. The old goat and Taoist Wuliang looked at each other. There was a strange look in their eyes. They did not expect to meet Zhao Ritian here. Moreover, Zhao Ritian helped Ling Xiao block Original Prince's attack at the critical moment. Who are you? Why are you helping Long Outyin? If you know what's good for you, get lost. Otherwise, I'll let you die with Long Outyin. Original Prince said coldly. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He sensed that the young man in front of him was very dangerous. His aura was unfathomable. Especially that ancient cauldron, it made him feel a sense of fear. However, this was the home ground of the devil race. Many experts of the devil race had already arrived. Let alone a mere genius of the human race, Even if a few more demons of the human race came, he would not be afraid. Who am I? I'm your grandfather. You bunch of demons, get lost if you don't want to die. Otherwise, when I, Zhao Ritian, am angry, even I am afraid. Zhao Ritian laughed proudly. Chapter 2236. Rumble. Zhao Ritian stood in the air with the flame emperor cauldron above his head. His aura was majestic and ancient. Endless light and heat radiated from his body. His aura was unfathomable. He looked down at the experts of the demon race without any fear. Is there something wrong with this guy's brain? Where did he get the confidence to face the two princes? A look of disbelief appeared in the eyes of the many demon clan experts. They looked at Zhao Ritian as if they were looking at a fool. Zhao Ritian? I've never heard of you. Today, we're only going to kill Long Outyin. If you don't want to die, get lost. Otherwise, we'll kill you too. Primordial Prince sneered. Kill me? How dare a bunch of ants like you fight against the great master Zhao Ritian? You're courting death. Since you're so stubborn, I, Zhao Ritian, will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and eliminate the demons. Zhao Ritian laughed arrogantly. His eyes were filled with disdain. Old Goat's mouth twitched as he muttered, Zhao Ritian is too cocky. I can't help but want to beat him up. Isn't he afraid of angering the demon race? He shouldn't be a reckless person. That ancient cauldron isn't simple. Taoist Wu Yang said as he stared at the flame emperor cauldron above Zhao Ritian's head. He could sense a dangerous aura coming from the flame emperor cauldron. It was as if it could burn the heavens and destroy the earth. You're courting death. Wild Wolf, bring the demon sky army and kill him. Original Prince's eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Wild Wolf sneered as he slowly walked over with the huge mountain-splitting axe in his hand. A terrifying aura rose from his body, making him look like an ancient demon god. A baleful aura surged out from him. The demonic sky army behind Wild Wolf also started to move. Ferocious aura spread around them and gathered into a vast torrent. It was silent and oppressive as it pressed down on Zhao Ritian from all directions. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Jin Se, Old Goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang instantly landed beside Zhao Ritian. Their battle intent surged as they prepared to face the assault of the Devil Sky Army. The Emperor Yen cauldron above Zhao Ritian's head instantly soared into the sky and turned into a mysterious stream of light. It shrouded the Blood Sea and protected the Blood Cocoon and Ling Xiao. You guys protect Ling Xiao well. Leave these demon bastards to me. Today, the great master Zhao Ritian will teach them how to be a proper human being. Get out of my way. I'm going to start acting tough. Zhao Ritian smiled proudly. With his hands behind his back, he walked towards the demonic sky army. Rumble. Zhao Ritian's body emitted a blazing divine light. It was like the rising sun. His aura was incomparably terrifying as it skyrocketed. With every step he took, his aura would increase by a few notches. When he took a few dozen steps and arrived in front of the Devil Sky Army, his aura had also increased to the extreme. The sky was filled with flames and lightning. Zhao Ritian was shrouded in an endless golden glow. He looked like an invincible god of war, exuding an eternal and immortal aura. This fellow is actually so strong? The Old Goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang looked at each other. They were both surprised and happy as they clicked their tongues. At that moment, Zhao Ritian was surrounded by the Great Path Order. Blazing divine light rose and three mysterious figures vaguely appeared above his head. One of them was clear as if it belonged to this world. The other two were blurry as if they came from the past and the future. This was the cultivation of the third heaven realm. Kill! Murderous intent flashed in Wild Wolf's eyes. He instantly unleashed all his strength. With the huge mountain-splitting axe in his hand, he took the lead and charged towards Zhao Ritian. Rumble! The demonic sky army began their charge. The auras of the tens of thousands of experts from the demonic sky army intertwined and filled the air with murderous intent. It was like a vast torrent. Wild Wolf was the sharp blade of this torrent that could pierce through everything. Zhao Ritian stood in the sky with his hands behind his back. His red cloak fluttered in the wind like a bloody light. The golden armor around his body emitted a dazzling light. He looked extremely flashy. His expression was incomparably indifferent. He was like a high and mighty heavenly emperor looking down at the myriad of worlds and all living things. It was as if nothing could move him. Wild Wolf's attack was nothing in Zhao Ritian's eyes. The vast torrent of the demonic sky army did not change his expression in the slightest. This guy. Hasn't he heard of the saying, if he acts cool, he will be struck by lightning? The old goat's mouth twitched. Zhao Ritian looked like he was asking for a beating. The demonic sky army charged with all their might. Their terrifying aura covered the sky and covered the earth. Even a sage would be crushed into dust in an instant. However, Zhao Ritian looked as if nothing had happened. No. He's accumulating his strength. Jean Sei's eyes flashed as she said slowly. Just as she finished her sentence, Wild Wolf and the demonic sky army's attack instantly reached Zhao Ritian's head. Terrifying divine light flashed, causing the surrounding void to distort. It looked like Zhao Ritian was about to be completely devoured. I said, let there be light. Zhao Ritian said slowly. He then pointed a finger at the sky. Rumble. Boundless divine light instantly gushed out from Zhao Ritian's body. It was extremely resplendent. It was like a vast wave that soared into the sky and collided with the demonic sky army. Rays of light bloomed in the void. Each ray of light was incomparably sharp, as if it could penetrate everything. The huge mountain-splitting axe in the Wild Wolf's hand turned into nothingness in an instant after being illuminated by the infinite rays of light. The terrifying light contained the power to devour all life. In an instant, it drowned the demonic sky army. Immediately, screams were heard. The bodies of the black-armored knights of the demonic sky army were instantly pierced through by the light. Their bodies slowly shattered in the void. This kind of shattering was irreversible. There was no blood. They seemed to have turned into the most fundamental particles, turning into a resplendent rain of light that danced in the wind. Other than the experts on the periphery of the demonic sky army who could barely resist and escape quickly, a huge black hole seemed to have appeared within the demonic sky army. The resplendent rain of light swirled and many of the black-armored knights were directly devoured. Screams were heard incessantly. Even Wild Wolf felt pain in his arm. One of his arms had disappeared. Chapter 2237. What kind of mystique is that? The old goat and Taoist Wuyang shuddered and could not help but gasp. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. With one strike, 9,000 demon tribesmen had been annihilated. It was a shocking scene. Although they had overestimated Zhao Ritian's combat strength, they did not expect Zhao Ritian's strength to be so terrifying. Those beams of light seemed to be the purest Tao law, but they also seemed to contain the power of the grand sun primordial fire. What kind of mystique is that? Feng Qingyang was also shocked. He also cultivated the grand sun Tao, so he could feel the mysterious aura of Zhao Ritian's holy sun body. However, he had never seen such a terrifying mystique. One should know that the Demon Sky Army was still arrogant and arrogant. They even set up the Great Saint Swallowing Sky Formation to break through the Supreme Yin-Yang Formation set up by Jean Sei. Now, Zhao Ritian had killed 9,000 of the Demonic Sky Army's powerhouses with just one attack. What was left was a group of weaklings who were scared out of their wits. It could be said that Zhao Ritian had annihilated the Demon Sky Army with one strike. How? How did he do it? Many of the demon tribesmen were stunned. Everything that had happened before their eyes had simply shattered their understanding. The Devil Sky Legion was one of the strongest legions in the Devil world. It was also the pillar that the two great princes had relied on for this trip. Every one of them was an expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. However, they had now died silently. Even the original prince and the Undying Prince were shocked. Brother Undying, do you know what kind of mystique that is? The original prince asked with an ugly expression. If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid that's the legendary emperor skill of the Flame Emperor, The light of heaven. The undying prince said slowly. He stared at Zhao Ritian with a solemn expression. However, there was a flash of passion in his eyes. In the end, his gaze fell on the flame emperor cauldron and did not move away for a long time. Light of heaven? Damn it! How can this emperor's skill be so terrifying? Zhao Ritian, that bastard, I'm going to kill him. Prince Primitive felt his heart bleeding. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He had brought the demonic sky army with him from the demonic world. He had hoped that the demonic sky army would be able to wipe out all the geniuses in the universe. However, he had not expected that they would fall here in such a humiliating manner. Supreme Emperor Technique, Light of Heaven. The power of a single strike was so great. Trash. You can't even withstand a single blow. Zhao Ritian sighed softly, his eyes filled with disdain. He hovered in the air, still standing with his hands behind his back. He slowly strolled over in the air. His aura was extremely powerful. It was as if the previous attack was just a casual attack to him, and it had instantly obliterated the demonic sky army. Oh my god! Be careful, don't overdo it. The light of heaven is extremely domineering. Even if you've advanced to the heaven realm, your cultivation has been completely extracted. Any half-saint would be able to kill you. Second Uncle's annoyed voice rang out in Zhao Ritian's mind. Hee, Second Master, you don't have to worry. After what I've done, I'm afraid they won't dare to act rashly. It's not a good thing to fight the demonic race at this time. As long as I can buy enough time for that bastard Ling Xiao to wake up, it's enough. But then again, this light of heaven is really powerful. Zhao Ritian chuckled in his heart and said nonchalantly. Casting the light of heaven was indeed not as easy as Zhao Ritian made it seem. It could even be said that all the energy in his body had been drained. He was barely able to maintain flight in the void. However, most people did not know that and thought that it was just a casual attack from Zhao Ritian. It had to be said that the result of Zhao Ritian's attack was extremely shocking. Whether it was the old goat and the rest, or the experts of the demonic race, they were all stunned by him. For a moment, there was complete silence, and no one dared to face him. He had really gone overboard with his act. The demonic sky army has been annihilated. It's your turn now. Primordial Prince, Undying Prince, are the two of you willing to be cowards? Zhao Ritian laughed coldly as he stared at Prince Primitive and Prince Undying. Prince Primitive's eyes were filled with bone-chilling killing intent. If looks could kill, Zhao Ritian would have died many times over. Zhao Ritian, the light of heaven is so domineering. Even if you're in the heaven realm, I'm afraid you won't be able to fight after this attack, right? Looks like you're forcing me to kill you. Prince Primitive exuded an extremely dangerous aura and locked onto Zhao Ritian. However, he was very cautious and did not attack. You can try. Zhao Ritian laughed arrogantly. The aura that Prince Primitive exuded did not seem to affect him at all. Zhao Ritian, you must be bluffing right now. Surrender obediently. With your strength alone, there is no way you can contend against the sacred race's momentum. If you surrender to the sacred race, I'll give you the great emperor's scripture and change your bloodline power. Prince Primitive walked towards Zhao Ritian. His eyes were extremely cold as he stared at Zhao Ritian. He was watching Zhao Ritian's every move as if he was ready to kill him at any time. He was very cautious. Although he thought that Zhao Ritian would not be able to continue using such a domineering Supreme Emperor technique after using the light of heaven, he was not very sure. The result of Zhao Ritian's attack was too shocking. It made Prince Primitive fearful of him unknowingly. Surrender to you demonic bastards. What a joke. The great Zhao Ritian is the #1 genius of the human race. He will be the #1 great emperor of the human race in the future. You demonic bastards are destined to be killed by the great Zhao Ritian. Since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. Zhao Ritian laughed coldly. He stood with his hands behind his back. Facing Prince Primitive, he was not on guard at all. It was as if he was purposely giving Prince Primitive a chance to attack. Ritian, my little ancestor. If Prince Primitive really goes crazy and rushes over, you'll be severely injured even if you don't die. You've already shown off too much. Stop while you're ahead. The second elder in Zhao Ritian's body was trembling in fear and could not help but advise him. He was afraid that Zhao Ritian would go overboard and put himself in danger. Don't worry. This guy is already scared out of his wits. He won't dare to attack me. Zhao Ritian thought to himself. Zhao Ritian, do you really think I won't dare to attack? Prince Primitive's eyes revealed an extremely dangerous killing intent. He was still testing Zhao Ritian. However, it was obvious that his patience was about to run out. You can try. Zhao Ritian laughed coldly. He then turned around and walked towards Old Goat and the others. He was not on guard at all. He was not fast, as if he was giving Prince Primitive a chance to attack. Chapter 2238. Zhao Ritian walked in the air. His golden armor was dazzling under the sunlight. His red cape was like a blood-red dragon dancing in the air. He walked with his back facing Prince Original. He had a faint smile on his face. His body was tall and straight like a sword. There was an arrogant, domineering, mysterious, and majestic aura that exploded from him. Everyone was silent. It was as if all the experts of the demon race were impressed by Zhao Ritian's aura. They had forgotten to attack. Original Prince clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with cold killing intent. He stared at Zhao Ritian as if he was looking for a flaw in Zhao Ritian's body. But to his disappointment, Zhao Ritian seemed to be full of flaws. He was filled with danger and killing intent. There were a few times when he wanted to attack, but he held himself back. Zhao Ritian looked calm on the surface, but he was extremely excited. To be able to intimidate millions of experts of the demon race with his own strength, who else could do this other than the 9 emperors of the human race? Only him, Zhao Ritian. No one could tell that he was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. Even Original Prince and Undying Prince did not dare to attack him. He walked slowly and was about to reach Jin Sei and the Old Goat. Not good. Suddenly, Zhao Ritian's heart skipped a beat. The light of heaven was too overbearing. It had depleted all the energy in his body. Although he tried his best to maintain it, he was unable to stop the powerful aftereffects. Waves of exhaustion washed over him, causing his body to sway. He almost fell from the void. But what kind of people were Undying Prince and Primitive Prince? They had been watching Zhao Ritian all this time, so they immediately noticed Zhao Ritian's strange behavior. He's bluffing. Undying Prince's eyes turned cold as he said coldly, "You're courting death." Original Prince was enraged. Demonic light rose from his body, and he instantly unleashed a terrifying power. He threw a punch at Zhao Ritian. Thinking about how he was intimidated by Zhao Ritian, he was even more furious. He wanted to tear Zhao Ritian into pieces to wash away the humiliation. Cauldron. When Zhao Ritian saw the enraged Original Prince, he immediately let out a strange cry and ran away. As he ran, he formed a seal with both of his hands. Golden light rose from his body and formed a mysterious connection with the Yen Emperor Cauldron. The Yen Emperor Cauldron trembled slightly and a golden rainbow bridge appeared in the sky, wanting to bring Zhao Ritian over. This guy. So he was pretending all along. The Old Goat and Taoist Wuyang looked at each other. They did not expect Zhao Ritian, who was still exuding a domineering aura, to suddenly run away. The contrast between before and after stunned them. Clang. Jin Sei's eyes flashed and the Taishang sword was unsheathed. The blazing sword radiance soared into the sky and turned into an arc. The sword chi was extremely sharp. It blocked Zhao Ritian's back and slashed towards Prince Original. Save Zhao Ritian! Feng Qingyang shouted as well. Together with the Old Goat and Taoist Wuyang, they charged towards Original Prince. Rumble! Demonic light rose and the void trembled. A huge fist print shot across the sky. Original Prince was surrounded by blazing primordial demonic flames. His aura was unparalleled. The Taishang sword radiance exploded. Feng Qingyang, the Old Goat and Taoist Wuyang attacked at the same time. Blazing divine light soared into the sky and collided violently in the void. Then they were sent flying back. However, Prince Original Origin's fist was completely neutralized by them. Zhao Ritian returned to the area covered by the Yen Emperor Cauldron and heaved a sigh of relief. That was a close call. Rumble. Many demonic race experts slowly surrounded Zhao Ritian and Jin Se. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent as they locked onto Zhao Ritian, Jin Se, and the rest. Zhao Ritian, I knew you were just bluffing. The light of heaven is such a domineering supreme emperor technique. It's not something you can withstand. Hand over the cultivation technique of the light of heaven and I can leave your corpse intact. Original Prince stared at Zhao Ritian and said, Hindsight, who was the one who was so scared that he didn't even dare to make a move? Ants like you have angered the great Zhao Ritian. I'll kill all of you. Zhao Ritian sneered and said disdainfully. As he mocked Original Prince, he was secretly devouring the majestic energy in the Yen Emperor Cauldron to recover his cultivation that had been completely devoured by the light of heaven. Rin, you've gone too far this time, haven't you? These two princes are not to be trifled with. Even if you have the Yen Emperor Cauldron, I'm afraid you're not safe. Second uncle said slowly. Cough cough. I didn't expect the light of heaven to be so domineering. I wanted to test the power of the light of heaven. I didn't expect it to devour all the energy in my body. Zhao Ritian said awkwardly and gloomily. He had just cultivated the supreme emperor technique, the light of heaven. He wanted to show off in front of everyone, but he did not expect to almost fail. Don't be distracted. Luckily, there are a few pieces of sun gold essence in the Yen Emperor Cauldron. Hurry up and refine them. It's going to be a fierce battle. Second uncle said in annoyance. What a huge loss this time. I'm still too soft-hearted. That bastard Ling Xiao is hiding in the blood cocoon to cultivate while I'm here to help him fight to the death. No, when he wakes up, I'll make him compensate me. Zhao Ritian mumbled. He then sat under the Yen Emperor Cauldron with his legs crossed. Pieces of sun gold essence flew out from the cauldron and fused into his body. His aura began to strengthen gradually. Rumble. At the same time, Zhao Ritian suddenly felt the blood sea around him churning. A majestic life force exploded and a terrifying energy surged into Zhao Ritian's body. Ling Xiao. Zhao Ritian's body trembled. He saw that in the distant sea of blood, the gigantic blood cocoon was slowly breaking apart, and a figure emerged from within. Under the guidance of the figure, the boundless life essence within the blood cocoon was frantically pouring into Zhao Ritian's body. Zhao Ritian was surprised and overjoyed. Ling Xiao had finally come out of seclusion. He knew that Ling Xiao was helping him to recover his cultivation. He immediately guarded his mind and began to refine the majestic blood qi that was surging into his body. At the same time, the blood sea surged violently. In an instant, a dazzling light bloomed from the center of the blood sea. The figure became clearer and clearer. It was a young man in white. His clothes fluttered in the wind. He stood barefoot and his long black hair danced in the wind. He looked carefree and unrestrained. His skin was as clear as jade and he had a faint smile on his face. His entire body was filled with an incomparably clean aura. That's Long Out Yen. Chapter 2239. Outside the Avalon of Five Elements. Amidst the chaotic turbulence, there was an ancient golden chariot. There were many ancient runes on it, and it radiated an ancient and mysterious aura. In front of the golden chariot, there was a golden dragon and a golden phoenix pulling the chariot. The golden dragon and phoenix seemed to be cast in gold, and they looked lifelike. They exuded a powerful aura, and no one dared to approach them. However, the golden chariot and golden chariot were not living creatures. They were puppets, and they were one with the golden chariot. This made the chariot even more mysterious. Behind the golden chariot, there were many experts. Their eyes were cold, and they were filled with strong fighting spirit. However, when they looked at the golden chariot, they were filled with respect. This chariot was the celestial emperor's chariot, and the person sitting on it was the emperor. In front of the celestial emperor's chariot, there was a huge screen. It showed the scene of Zhao Ritian and the rest fighting the demon race in the Avalon of 5 elements. Is that Long Outyin coming out of seclusion? Someone exclaimed softly when he saw the figure walking out of the sea of blood. Long Outyin's aura is unpredictable. What realm is he in? It's hard to say. However, no matter what realm he is in, it will be difficult for him to fight against the original prince and the undying prince alone. Long Ao Tian is said to have killed the Blood Hell Emperor's son. If Zhao Ritian uses the light of heaven again and cooperates with Long Ao Tian, they might be able to fight the demon race. Let's fight. The more intense the fight, the better. When they are both injured, we will go out and kill them all. Everyone was discussing animatedly as their eyes were filled with sneers. Reporting to the Heavenly Emperor, the everlasting saint is ignorant and has rejected your invitation. At this moment, a ray of light flew in from afar and turned into a young man in a 5-colored robe. He then knelt on one knee in front of the celestial emperor's chariot. This person was the primordial saint of the Avalon of 5 elements. It's all right. Everyone has their own ambitions. I will not force him. The next time we meet, I will take his chaotic saint constitution. A faint voice came from the celestial emperor's chariot. Yes, Emperor. Heavenly Son of Heaven, the legend that Long Outyin obtained the inheritance of the Blood Demon Emperor seems to be true. When both sides are injured, it will be time for us to make our move. The Yuanshan saint raised his head and saw Ling Xiao walking out of the blood sea on the light screen. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. Blood Demon Emperor? He was just a loser. However, I am very interested in Long Outyin. I can kill the others, but I want Long Outyin alive. Tianzi said indifferently. Yuanshan Saint's son bowed and accepted the order. Ling Xiao stepped out of the sea of blood. The aura around him was extremely pure, and his eyes were clear and pure. His entire being exuded an aura of nature. Ling Xiao, you brat, you've finally come out of seclusion. This is not a place to stay for long. Let's leave this place first. The old goat said with surprise and joy. Leave it to me. From today onwards, the demon race shall be exterminated. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His voice was incomparably calm, and there was an incomparable certainty in it. It was as if he was stating a certain fact. Then you be careful. The old goat and Taoist Wu Yang smiled bitterly. Seeing the determination in Ling Xiao's eyes, they relaxed a little. No matter what, after Ling Xiao came out of seclusion, they finally had a pillar of support. The demon race shall be exterminated? You are really arrogant. Long Outyin, even if you come out of seclusion, you won't be able to change anything. Today, all of you will die. The original prince's eyes turned cold as he stared at Ling Xiao. The original prince? You ran away without a fight last time. Are these trash you're backing today? No need to talk nonsense. Let's see who's the real deal. Ling Xiao said calmly. His entire being became more ethereal, as if he had become a part of the heavenly Tao. He stood in front of the many experts of the demon race. The aura around him was as soft as water, but as unfathomable as the vast sea. He was not at a disadvantage when fighting against the many experts of the demon race. It gave everyone the illusion that they were evenly matched. You want to challenge the original prince? You are not qualified. Long Outyin, I will fight you. Before the original prince could speak, a genius of the demon race covered in black armor stood out. The aura around him rose, filled with evil and ancient energy waves. Hey Jun, be careful. The original prince nodded in satisfaction. He was cruel and cunning by nature, but he was also cautious. Before he knew Ling Xiao's background, he did not want to act rashly. Otherwise, if he was defeated by Ling Xiao, his dignity would be greatly damaged. Now that someone was willing to fight for him, it was exactly what he wanted. He Jun was a genius of the Black Sky Demon race. His cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the heaven-treading realm, and he had broken the limit once. He was extremely powerful and was suitable to test Ling Xiao's combat strength. Don't worry, the original prince. I will kill him for you. He Jun said with a sinister smile. Demonic light spewed out from his body as he grabbed a black demonic saber and slashed at Ling Xiao. He was extremely tall, dozens of feet tall. His entire body was filled with explosive power. The huge demonic saber in his hand seemed to be able to break this side of the sky. Rumble! The huge demonic saber came across the sky, and a monstrous demonic light surged. It was as if an abyss was formed in the void, and it was going to devour Ling Xiao completely. How many moves do you think He Jun can take from Long Outyin? I heard that Long Outyin is a powerful figure. Even the Blood Hell Emperor died in his hands. It's hard to say. I think it should be no problem for him to take at least 3 moves, right? You underestimate Lord He Jun too much. Although he has only broken the limit once, the power of the Black Sky Demon God Saber is unparalleled. Even someone who has broken the limit twice would find it difficult to fight against it. I think he can take at least 10 moves from Long Outyin. I'm guessing 20 moves. Many experts of the demon race said one after another. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. Although they knew that He Jun was probably not Ling Xiao's match and was likely to lose, they still hoped to see Ling Xiao's true strength through this battle. Ling Xiao stared at He Jun with a calm expression. His jade-like fingers clenched into a fist, and then he punched out. It was simple, as if there was no energy fluctuation. Rumble! Ling Xiao's light fist came through the air and collided with the huge saber aura above the void. In an instant, the void was annihilated silently. A strange sound wave spread from Ling Xiao's fist and spread towards the Black Sky Demon Divine Saber. Chapter 2240. What? He Jun's entire body trembled, and his soul almost left his body. He only felt a fatal danger approaching, and without thinking, he quickly retreated. Ling Xiao's indifferent voice entered his ears, and then He Jun saw a fist coming towards him. It did not seem to have any aura, but it had an eternal and immortal fluctuation, and directly smashed into his chest. Boom! He Jun's entire body exploded. His body and primordial spirit were all turned into dust at this moment. It was as if there was no way for him to block the power of this punch, and he was instantly turned into ashes. Seeing that He Jun couldn't even withstand a single punch from Ling Xiao, the original prince couldn't help but narrow his eyes, and his expression became extremely serious. Although he was confident that he could kill He Jun in one strike, he could not do it as easily as Ling Xiao did. Ling Xiao became extremely dangerous in his heart in an instant. The many experts of the demon clan were also stunned. Ling Xiao's attack seemed to be as light as a feather, without the slightest bit of smoke or fire, but in an instant, He Jun was turned into ashes, causing everyone to be incomparably shocked. Are the so-called demon race really such weak ants? How boring! Original prince, there's no need to send so many people to their deaths. Take this punch from me. Ling Xiao said slowly, his voice carrying an ethereal sigh. As soon as he finished speaking, he threw another punch at original prince. The air trembled slightly, and this time, Ling Xiao's attack was even more erratic. The light punch was filled with primal chaos chi, and it was like an extremely soft power. It was as if the entire sky was filled with Ling Xiao's fist, and it came crashing down on original prince from all directions. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Original prince's eyes revealed a trace of anger. Ling Xiao's words had also stimulated the bloodthirst and killing intent in his heart. His entire body was enveloped by the primordial devil flames, and the devil light was evil and strange, making him look even more ferocious and terrifying. Boom! He faced Ling Xiao's fist imprint head-on, the primordial devil flame enveloping his fist imprint. The blazing flames seemed to be able to burn the heavens as it blasted towards Ling Xiao. The primordial demonic flame was the supreme monarch flame. Although Prince Primordial could not unleash its true power, it was already terrifying enough. The surrounding void was distorted, and Ling Xiao's fist imprints were quickly annihilated. In the end, the two fists collided in the air. In an instant, a terrifying storm of divine light erupted. Space shattered at once as endless streams of chaotic turbulence surged. Ling Zhao's expression was extremely calm as he looked at Prince Primitive. His eyes were clear and bright. On the other hand, Prince Original's expression changed. He could feel layers and layers of power coming from Ling Zhao's fist. Each layer was more terrifying than the previous one. It was as if the power had multiplied by 100 times in an instant, causing his arm to tremble violently. Instantly his arm went numb, and he was sent flying by Ling Zhao's punch. Ling Zhao was still standing in the air. His white robes were purer than snow, and he stood barefoot. He looked confident and indifferent, and his every movement exuded an aura of transcendence. Boom! Prince Original was sent flying for a few hundred feet. His blood was boiling, and he finally managed to stop himself. However, his expression was extremely ugly, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Not long ago he had met Ling Zhao. Although they did not really fight, he could feel that Ling Zhao was not too strong at that time. He was still confident of winning. But now, he could not even take a single punch from Ling Zhao. This was an unbearable humiliation for him. What? Am I seeing things? Prince Original was sent flying by Long Outyen with a single punch? Oh no, it seems like the rumors are true. Long Outyen really has the strength to kill Prince Blood Prison. It's not a fluke. If he can't kill Long Outyen this time, I'm afraid he will really be like a dragon entering the sea. His future is limitless. Many Sky Prides of the Demon Clan were also shocked by the scene before them. In their hearts, the original prince and the undying prince were invincible existences. And now, the original prince was very likely to be defeated by Long Outyen. This was something they could not accept. The original prince had gone completely mad. Demonic flames were burning around his body. The violent energy around him was completely unleashed. He slammed his palm towards Ling Zhao. The palm print extended for tens of thousands of miles, covering the sky and the sun. It was going to smash everything into dust. Above his head, black demonic light surged. 3 strange flowers of the great Tao vaguely appeared, raising Prince Original's power to the extreme. The terrifying aura emitted from his body caused the hearts of the surrounding people to tremble. Their faces turned pale, and they couldn't help but back away. Ling Zhao's expression was still calm. Facing the violent Prince Original, his palm shone with bloody light. In an instant, a bloody lotus flew out. It looked crystal clear and dazzling, and it shot towards Prince Original. Rumble! The blood-colored lotus contained a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and earth. It collided with the palm print with a loud bang. Beams of blood-colored light shot out from the blood-colored lotus, piercing through the palm print of the original prince and spreading out in all directions. Apocalyptic Blood Lotus. This was a supreme secret skill that Ling Zhao had obtained from Blood Demon Emperor's inheritance. It was rumored to be a supreme emperor skill. When cultivated to the extreme, it had the power to destroy the world and seal the land. Gotcha! The original prince's palm was shattered and the apocalyptic blood lotus danced in the air like a blood-red lightning bolt. It landed on the original prince's head in an instant and sprinkled down beams of blood-red light that enveloped him, forming a blood cocoon in an instant. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes, and the aura around him changed drastically. The originally ethereal aura disappeared, and his entire person became fierce and domineering, like an angry Vajra, filled with explosive power. Boom! He threw a punch at Prince Original, and the fist print was unstoppable. It was vast like an ancient world. There were dragon roars, chaos rising, 3,000 daos intertwining, thunder and lightning rising, and an endless sea of blood. The power of this punch was terrifying to the extreme, as if it could contain everything. At this moment, Prince Original's primordial demonic flame rose, burning the bloody light around him. He rushed out of the bloody cocoon, and saw Ling Zhao's domineering punch coming at him. Prince Original's face changed. He felt that the power of this punch was too domineering, and he felt that he could not resist it. He instantly pushed out his arms, and the primordial demonic flame rose, trying to block Ling Zhao's punch. Boom! The void shook violently, and Original Prince's arms shook violently, letting out a crisp sound. Inch by inch, they broke apart, and then turned into dust with a loud bang. Chapter 2241. In the void, the demonic light was overflowing. Both of Original Prince's arms were smashed into pieces by Ling Zhao's fist. His entire body was unable to withstand the terrifying power and was sent flying back. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his expression was extremely ugly. He did not expect Ling Zhao's punch to be so terrifying and domineering. Even though he quickly stopped himself and black demonic light surged on his arms. His flesh and blood were rapidly regenerating. At his level, he was infinitely close to an immortal body. Not all fatal injuries could be healed quickly. Hence, his arms grew back quickly. However, it was still a great humiliation to him. Long Outyen, you have completely infuriated me. Original Prince said coldly, his eyes filled with a blazing killing intent. As the son of the original Demon Emperor, he had the blood of the Emperor flowing in his veins. He was a superior existence in the demon world. Other than a few princes who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him, even the peerless geniuses of the demon world could only bow down to him. Now that he had been defeated by Ling Zhao, he was filled with endless killing intent. Rumble! Black lightning flashed around Prince Original's body, and blood light surged. It was as if an incomparably terrifying power had awakened, causing chaotic light to rise around him. Devil chi permeated the air, as if everything had turned into chaos, arriving at the beginning of the world. He pointed his finger at Ling Zhao. In an instant, billions of miles of the void seemed to have disappeared. The Tao of heaven and earth gathered into one, forming an aurora ray. Its speed seemed to have surpassed time and space. In an instant, it was in front of Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he sensed a dangerous aura. Without even thinking, he immediately used a teleportation secret art. His figure shook slightly, and in an instant, he turned into hundreds of millions of phantoms, shooting out in all directions. Each of them was extremely real, and no one could tell which one was his real body. However, the aurora ray seemed to have a mind of its own. It instantly pierced through countless shadows and followed behind Ling Zhao. It was as if it would not stop until it had pierced through him. Swallow! Ling Zhao growled, and an ancient rune rose from his palm. In an instant, it was as if an ancient and mysterious world had appeared, engulfing the aurora ray in an instant. Devouring heaven's sacred world. This time, Ling Zhao's heaven-devouring secret technique finally broke through the limit, breaking through to perfection and condensing the heaven-devouring sacred domain. The terrifying power of the sky-devouring secret technique, which could devour everything in the world, was completely unleashed. Although the aurora ray was extremely powerful, it was quickly devoured and refined in the sky-devouring sacred domain. Kill! Original Prince's black hair was disheveled and his eyes were cold. His entire body was emitting an incomparably violent energy. The blood in his body was boiling and burning, causing the primordial devil flames around him to form a vast sea of fire. He threw out a punch, and the flames in the sky gathered together to form a black sun, covering the sky. The huge fist prince power was terrifying, and it came crashing down toward Ling Zhao. Lord Primordial Emperor, did the Primordial Emperor blood erupt? It's too scary. Not only the Primordial Emperor blood, but also the legendary Primordial Scripture. This punch is an Emperor technique from the Primordial Scripture, Demonic Sky Great Palm. This Long Outyen actually forced Original Prince to use his trump card? Many demon race experts were secretly shocked. Feeling the terrifying aura from Original Prince's body, their faces turned pale and their hearts palpitated. Heaven-devouring secret technique? It seems like that item is very likely on him. The Undying Prince glanced at Ling Zhao indifferently, and there was a strange look in his eyes as he muttered to himself. Rumble! Ling Zhao rushed into the sky to welcome Original Prince's punch, and the chaotic aura around him rose. In an instant, the mysterious light of reincarnation spread out behind him. The rune in his palm shone brightly, and an ancient rune emitted circles of reincarnation light. Then, as Ling Xiao threw out a punch, the blazing light of reincarnation went up to welcome it. The Devil Sky Great Palm imprint was a peerless monarch art, but after colliding with Ling Xiao's fist, not only did it not erupt into a blazing scene as expected, but it also seemed to be stuck in the light of reincarnation. The light of reincarnation was filled with a mysterious light, as if it had endless time and space, and also as if it had buried the karma of the heavens. As the light of reincarnation rippled, the demonic sky great palm trembled slightly, and an ancient black rune appeared. That black rune seemed to contain a vast great Tao truth. It looked extremely complex and profound, and it flowed with a mysterious Tao rhyme. Vaguely, it looked like the cultivation technique of the demonic sky palm. You dare to covet the original scripture? You're courting death. Original Prince was shocked and angry, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. He did not expect that Ling Xiao's reincarnation secret technique would be able to trace the origin of the light of reincarnation to the essence of the heavenly devil's great palm imprint. Not only did Ling Xiao silently break this powerful emperor technique, but he also attempted to break down the cultivation method of the heavenly devil's great palm imprint. This was the original prince's reverse scale. The original scripture was his greatest reliance, and it was also the original demon emperor's life work, and it contained the supreme emperor Tao. Anyone who dared to covet the original scripture would be the original prince's mortal enemy. Boom! The demonic blood around him began to burn, and a monstrous aura rose. Rays of demonic light gathered around him, and turned into millions of terrifying demonic weapons. Sabers, spears, swords, halberds, axes, hooks, tridents, and all kinds of strange weapons gathered, and they exuded a terrifying aura. They were all demonic weapons. The sky was filled with demonic weapons, and like a torrent, they charged towards Ling Xiao in a frenzy. It looked chaotic, but there was a hidden order, as if it was a world of demonic weapons, and it enveloped Ling Xiao. Demonic weapons world. This was also a supreme secret technique of the original scripture, and it could form millions of demonic weapons and exhaust one to death. It was extremely terrifying. How boring! It's just a fist technique, and I don't even care about it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and his expression was extremely calm. His gaze fell on Original Prince in the distance, and when the two of them made contact, there was the sound of metal clashing, and a powerful battle intent exploded from Ling Xiao's body. Rumble! Boom! Boom! His battle intent rose, and it was pure and powerful, as if it could pierce through the 9 heavens. The chaotic light rose, and formed an extremely mysterious domain around him, as if even the void Tao was distorted. Ling Xiao had transformed into an invincible and undefeatable war emperor. That kind of powerful battle intent caused the surrounding people to change their expressions. Boom! Chapter 2242. What? Original Prince's eyes narrowed. The demonic weapon world was a powerful emperor technique in the primordial scripture. It could create billions of demonic weapons. In the ancient times, the original demon emperor relied on the demonic weapon world to kill countless powerful beings. But now, the demonic weapon world seemed to have lost its effect on Ling Xiao. Demonic weapon world? Unfortunately, you don't know that the demonic weapon world was created based on the heaven battling secret skill. Are you really stupid to use the demonic weapon world against me? Ling Xiao said calmly. He had cultivated the heaven battling secret skill to the greater success realm and had obtained many mysterious memories. Those were left behind by experts who had cultivated the heaven battling secret skill and recorded the continuation of the heaven battling secret skill. Ling Xiao also saw the figure of the original demon emperor. The original demon emperor had also cultivated the heaven battling secret skill and used it as the foundation to create the powerful demonic weapon world. Rumble! Blazing divine light rose around Ling Xiao as his battle intent twisted. The chaotic light formed a mysterious domain that froze all the demonic soldiers that were emitting ferocious qi. So what if it's the heaven battling secret skill? It's just a secret skill that has lost its true meaning. How can it compare to my demonic weapon world? Original Prince shouted angrily as his eyes were filled with killing intent. In an instant, a bloody mist spread out from his body like a black hurricane and landed on the billions of demonic weapons. The demonic weapon world suddenly boiled up, piercing through the void and breaking the mysterious domain, whistling as it shot towards Ling Xiao. As the son of the demon emperor, he naturally knew that the demonic weapon world was born from the heaven-battling secret skill. But for the mighty figures and experts, other than the 12 sky techniques, the other secret skills were only equivalent to some powerful saint techniques. In the ancient times, after the wordless heavenly book was destroyed, the secret skills of the heaven-battling secret skill seemed to have lost their luster and became ordinary. Therefore, even though he knew that the demonic weapon world was born from the heaven-battling secret skill, Original Prince did not take it seriously. Rumble. The demonic soldiers that filled the sky unleashed a terrifying energy fluctuation, instantly drowning Ling Xiao. Blazing divine light exploded, the void shook, and the heaven and earth trembled violently as if the world was about to be destroyed. Retreat. The expressions of many demon race experts changed abruptly, and they quickly retreated. The demon soldiers were densely packed, covering an area of 10,000 miles. Each demon soldier contained supreme power. Although the center was locked onto Ling Xiao, the people at the periphery were still affected. The old goat, Jin Se, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang were also very fast. In an instant, they had entered the range of the Yen Emperor Cauldron. Rumble. One by one, the powerful demonic weapons landed on the Yen Emperor Cauldron, causing it to tremble slightly before shattering into pieces. What a terrifying devil weapon world. A saint is dead for sure. Even a great saint would have to go all out to defend against it. The old goat said with a solemn expression. Ling Xiao, he will definitely be fine. Taoist Wu Yang said hesitantly. He seemed to be comforting others, but he also seemed to be convincing himself. After all, Original Prince's devil weapon world was the strongest technique in the Primordial Sutra. It could be considered Original Prince's strongest divine ability. They could feel the terrifying power even from the periphery. One could imagine the pressure Ling Xiao, who was in the center, was under. Rumble. The devil weapon world wreaked havoc in the sky, as if a large world had descended. It shattered everything, and the chaotic mist filled the air. Everything turned into nothingness, and completely ceased to exist. When the hundreds of millions of demon soldiers slowly dissipated, there was no aura of any living creature. Long Outyin was killed by Original Prince? Many of the demon race experts trembled, and they couldn't help but cry out in surprise. It must be so. The devil weapon world is the strongest technique of the original demon emperor. Although the heaven-battling secret skill is strong, how can it defeat the devil weapon world? It's funny that Ling Xiao said that the devil weapon world was born from the heaven-battling secret skill. Now it seems that it's just a joke. What human race genius! I don't think he killed the Blood Hell Emperor, but the despicable human race used some unspeakable means. Original Prince is mighty. Many demon race experts laughed heartily, and their eyes were filled with cold, killing intent and disdain. Previously, whether it was Zhao Ritian or Ling Xiao, their attacks were too terrifying. Zhao Ritian's light of heaven had almost wiped out the Devil Sky army, while Ling Zhao's punch had shattered both of Original Prince's arms, making them feel extremely sullen. Now they could finally hold their heads high. Is he really dead? Original Prince heaved a sigh of relief, but he frowned slightly. He felt that something was wrong. Rumble. At this moment, a blazing divine light bloomed behind Original Prince. It was extremely fast, and contained a vast heavenly might, as if it was going to destroy this world. Blazing lightning intertwined, and turned into a huge palm print that slammed down on Original Prince. Long Outyin, you're not dead? Original Prince's voice was filled with shock and anger. The demon chi around him was boiling. Facing this sudden attack, he had to stretch out his arms to block it. Kacha! His arms suddenly exploded. The blazing lightning contained endless destructive power, as if it was going to block all evil, and completely enveloped him. A huge palm print fell from the sky, dispersing the clouds and breaking through the void. Then, it fiercely pressed down on the ground. Rumble! The ground shook violently, as if it was going to collapse completely. With the palm print as the center, 5 huge cracks spread out in all directions, extending for hundreds of thousands of miles. When the palm print dissipated, everyone saw that original prince, who was in the middle, was no longer in human shape. His body was a bloody mess, and his clothes had been smashed to pieces. His entire body had almost turned into a pile of meat paste. Of course I'm not dead. But to be able to survive my heavenly punishment, Palm, you can be proud. Ling Zhao's indifferent voice rang out in the void. A light flashed in the void, and he reappeared in the void. He was still dressed in white, and there was not a speck of dust on him. Original Prince was defeated? A thought appeared in the minds of many demon race experts, and they were completely stunned. They were unable to accept such a huge difference for a moment. Ling Zhao should have died in the demon weapon world. How did he suddenly appear, defeat Original Prince with one palm, and turn him into meat paste? Heavenly Punishment Palm? Heavenly Punishment secret skill? It seems like that item is indeed on him. Chapter 2243. The Undying Prince did not make a move, but no one dared to question his strength. On the contrary, among the many experts of the demon clan, although the 3 princes of the demon clan were the leaders, everyone recognized the Undying Prince as the strongest. Even the Original Prince and the Blood Prison Prince were not as strong as the Undying Prince. Therefore, many of the demon race experts regarded the Undying Prince as their leader, and most of them obeyed his orders. The Undying Prince seemed to be trying to verify something. He kept looking at Ling Zhao, and there was a strange fluctuation in his eyes. Ling Zhao, that bastard, he really scared me. I thought he was going to die in the hands of the Original Prince. The old goat heaved a sigh of relief and scolded jokingly. Although they were full of confidence in Ling Zhao, this time Ling Zhao was facing the son of the original demon emperor, a peerless genius who had cultivated the primordial scripture. When experts fought, life and death were decided in an instant. Therefore, until the last moment, no one knew who would have the last laugh. Although the Original Prince is strong, I'm afraid he's not as strong as the Undying Prince. The Original Prince has lost to Ling Zhao, and I'm afraid the Undying Prince will make a move. Taoist Wu Yang said slowly. He looked at the Undying Prince with a solemn expression. The Undying Prince? This guy doesn't look like a demon race expert at all. Instead, he looks like a genius of the human race. Feng Qingyang said slowly. The Undying Prince was wearing a white robe, and he was tall and slender. He looked handsome and elegant, and his whole body exuded an ethereal aura. He was like an elegant prince in a chaotic world, and he had a natural and unrestrained aura. His aura was unfathomable, but there was no trace of the evil and ruthlessness of the demon race. He looked incomparably pure and natural, and there was an aura of the heavenly Tao. That's because his cultivation far exceeds yours. He's at the great circle of the third heaven realm. He can corroborate his Tao and become a saint at any time, fusing with the great Tao. It doesn't matter whether he's a human or a devil. Jean Sei, who had been silent, suddenly said, Junior sister Jean Sei, your words hurt senior brother. Feng Qingyang smiled bitterly. He was also a very proud person. He had reached the 3rd level of heaven treading at such a young age and could reach the 2nd limit at any time. Even in the ancient land of chaos, he could be considered a genius. However, compared to the 3 demon princes, he was naturally much inferior. Although he did not want to admit it, he had to admit that he could not see through the Undying Prince's cultivation. This made him feel very frustrated. Rumble. Prince Original, who had been slapped deep into the ground by Ling Zhao, began to struggle violently. His flesh and blood wriggled, and a terrifying demonic light surged, as if he was about to recover his body. Although his physical body had been severely injured by Ling Zhao, his physical body was incomparably strong. With the bloodline of the great emperor, he could regenerate his flesh and blood, and his vitality was incomparably strong. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. At that moment, an ancient rune rose from his palm, conjuring a boundless heaven-devouring sacred domain. Scorching heaven-devouring fire surged forth, trying to refine original prince's flesh and blood. After slaying the blood prison emperor's son, Ling Zhao had gained some experience on how to kill an emperor's son with countless trump cards. As long as he could shatter their physical body, destroy their powerful vitality, and not give them any chance to recover, he could use the heaven-devouring secret skill to completely refine and devour them. Just as Ling Zhao was about to completely refine original prince, a calm voice rang out in the void. Enough! Rumble! The voice was like a brilliant heavenly might, containing an incomparably powerful sound wave divine ability. It instantly blocked in front of Ling Zhao, like a sound wave waterfall, intertwined with mysterious runes. The heaven-devouring flames collided with the sound wave waterfall. The void trembled in an instant and the runes exploded. The heaven-devouring flames contained the power to devour everything, burning the sound wave waterfall and turning it into nothingness. However, taking advantage of the obstruction, original prince instantly recovered his body and leaped into the sky, appearing above the void. Long Out Yen, I'm going to kill you. Original prince's voice contained monstrous anger and killing intent, locking onto Ling Zhao. At the same time, the original banner in his palm exuded a powerful aura, and black light surged, as if it was going to suppress Ling Zhao at any time. You finally made your move. Ling Zhao did not even look at original prince, but his gaze fell on Undying Prince. That rough was uttered by Undying Prince. Just his voice alone could cause the Tao of heaven and earth to tremble, and the void laws to rumble. Undying Prince was powerful. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with an incomparably strong fighting intent as he stared at Undying Prince. He could feel that this was a formidable opponent. It's time to end this. Original Prince, leave the rest to me. I'll leave his life to you. Undying Prince said flatly, his voice was very calm. All right, I'll make sure he dies without a burial place. Original Prince said gloomily. Ling Zhao's disregard for him had ignited the anger and killing intent in his heart. This was a great humiliation to him. However, Ling Zhao did not intend to humiliate him. It was just that Ling Zhao no longer treated him as an opponent. Ling Zhao's eyes were only on Undying Prince. Undying Prince, the son of the Undying Demon Emperor, the ruler of the Devil World. Legend has it that the Undying Demon Emperor is the oldest demon emperor in the Devil World. I'm curious why the son of the Undying Demon Emperor is only a sage-to-be. Are you so sure that you can kill me? Ling Zhao said with interest, as if he knew the Undying Prince very well. Long Outyen, I know that you're very strong. You have something to rely on, but you have to understand that a genius who hasn't grown up is nothing once he dies. Today, I'm going to kill you, and no one can save you, said the Imperial Prince firmly. He looked indifferent and calm. His voice didn't sound arrogant at all, it sounded like he was extremely confident. Is that so? Then I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. Ling Zhao said with a cold smile, his eyes filled with a strong desire to fight. Boom! Undying Prince slowly raised an arm, his palm facing the sky. In an instant, the void shook, and the heavens and earth roared. The surrounding space was violently distorted, and a terrifying aura surged from all directions. It was as if the laws of heaven had disappeared in an instant, and the place was in a state of chaos. Because this is my home ground. Here, I'm the god of creation. Those who follow me will live, and those who defy me will die. Undying Prince clenched his fist, and in an instant, the void roared. Dazzling lightning flashed, and the surrounding void suddenly shattered. Vaguely, a magnificent and vast painting of mountains and rivers appeared in the surroundings. At this moment, Ling Zhao and the others were all in the painting. Chapter 2244. Rumble. The surrounding void vibrated and distorted violently. The mountains and rivers shook and blazing divine light shrouded the area. An endless world seemed to emerge from the endless chaotic aura. It was a majestic mountain river painting that covered the entire Avalon of 5 elements. Even Ling Xiao and the rest did not notice it. A terrifying emperor's aura spread out from the mountain and river painting, containing a power fluctuation that could crush everything. Everyone's heart trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. This scroll was actually an extreme-grade emperor weapon. No wonder the Undying Prince was so fearless. The Undying Prince had always been very calm. When Zhao Ritian used the light of heaven to destroy the Devil Sky army, he was very calm. When Ling Xiao defeated the original prince, he was also very calm. His gaze was always on Ling Xiao, as if he was verifying something. Now that his verification had come true, he finally decided to take action. I remember that the Undying Demon Emperor's extreme emperor weapon is the Undying Seal. Where did he get this extreme emperor weapon from? The old goat's expression was ugly as he said in shock. The Undying Demon Emperor was the leader of the 3 great demon emperors in the demon world. He was extremely powerful and his extreme emperor weapon was the Undying Seal. Legend had it that it contained the ultimate mystery of life and death. It was very famous in the ancient times. Now that the Undying Prince had taken out a picture scroll, she was extremely shocked. One should know that every extreme emperor weapon was a supreme treasure that could suppress fate. Once it was awakened, it would be comparable to a great emperor. Its strength was terrifying. This is not a simple extreme emperor weapon. This is an extreme emperor weapon that is about to be awakened. Now that we are trapped in the painting, it will be difficult for us to escape. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes flashed as he said slowly, "Extreme emperor weapons were the strongest weapons that only great emperors could use. Ordinary people would have to pay a huge price if they wanted to use an extreme emperor weapon. Moreover, it would be difficult for them to fully unleash the power of an extreme emperor weapon. However, an awakened extreme emperor weapon meant that one could unleash the full power of an extreme emperor weapon. Even a saint expert would not be able to fight against it." The Undying Prince floated in the void. His body was surrounded by rays of light and auspicious air. His entire being had become one with the ancient painting. It was as if his every move had the power to destroy the world. "Long Outyen, give up and surrender. You are indeed powerful. However, you will not be able to escape from the Daluo painting. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. If you submit to me, perhaps I can spare your life." The Undying Prince said indifferently, "Daluo scroll? It's the Daluo scroll?" Feng Qingyang could not help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The Daluo scroll was a famous extreme emperor weapon in the ancient times. It was rumored that its owner was the Daluo Dao ancestor. The Daluo Dao ancestor was rumored to be the owner of the chaotic cardinal treasure, the wordless heavenly book. However, the wordless heavenly book and the Daluo scroll had disappeared after the Daluo Dao ancestor fell. Feng Qingyang also knew about this supreme treasure. However, he did not expect it to fall into the hands of the Undying Prince. "Surrender to you? Undying Prince, do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you have an extreme emperor weapon?" Ling Xiao said indifferently. His eyes were calm and deep. There was not a single trace of fear in them. "That's right. I have the Daluo scroll, so I can do whatever I want. Even if a sage king was here, my all-heaven painting would be able to annihilate him. Unless you also have an awakened extreme emperor weapon," the Undying Prince said with a hint of mockery in his eyes. He knew that the wordless heavenly book was in Ling Zhao's hands. However, the wordless heavenly book was not an offensive supreme treasure. Moreover, it was severely damaged. Even if Ling Xiao used the wordless heavenly book, he would not be able to fight against the Daluo scroll. The ignorant are truly fearless. Do you really think that you're the only one who has an extreme emperor weapon? Zhao Ritian, I'll leave it to you. Ling Xiao shook his head and smiled. He then took a few steps back. Rumble. Behind Ling Xiao, a blazing divine light rose. It was as if there were bolts of lightning intertwining with each other. An incomparably terrifying aura was released. The Yen Emperor Cauldron that was floating in the void suddenly shone with boundless light. It was like an extremely bright sun that contained an extreme yang energy fluctuation. Zhao Ritian slowly stood up. His body exuded an incomparably powerful aura fluctuation. He opened his eyes abruptly. It was as if lightning had flashed across the sky, shocking the surroundings. The Daluo Scroll? I wonder if your Daluo Scroll can stop my Yen Emperor Cauldron? Zhao Ritian sneered coldly. At this moment, his cultivation had completely recovered. In fact, it had even improved. After all, Ling Xiao had given him a portion of the blood Dao essence of the Blood Demon Emperor Lord. It had allowed his cultivation to recover rapidly and even improve. Ling Xiao had already sensed that Zhao Ritian had woken up. That was why he had said those words. Rumble. As soon as Zhao Ritian finished speaking, the Yen Emperor Cauldron exploded with boundless divine light. It expanded in the void like a towering divine mountain. Endless flames rose, causing the layers of the void to distort. The space within the Daluo Scroll trembled violently. There was an extremely unstable aura as if it would collapse at any moment. Yen Emperor Cauldron? How did you get an extreme Dao Emperor weapon? The Undying Prince's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Previously, when Zhao Ritian drove the Yen Emperor Cauldron over, the Undying Prince did not sense the grade of the Yen Emperor Cauldron. He only thought that it was an ordinary Supreme Sage treasure. After all, many Supreme Sage treasures contained extreme Dao Emperor aura. However, when Zhao Ritian activated the Yen Emperor Cauldron with all his might, the Undying Prince realized that the Yen Emperor Cauldron was also an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Moreover, the Yen Emperor Cauldron had already awakened. What a joke! Only you are allowed to have an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Others are not allowed to have one? Let's see if your Daluo Scroll or our Yen Emperor Cauldron is more powerful. The old goat and Taoist Wuliang sneered. Although the appearance of the Daluo Scroll was strange, they were not afraid. After all, Zhao Ritian was right behind them. Zhao Ritian's Yen Emperor Cauldron was also an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. The aura around Zhao Ritian rose. The divine light around him was unparalleled. The power of the Sun Saint body was completely unleashed. It formed a mysterious resonance with the Yen Emperor Cauldron. Originally, with Zhao Ritian's cultivation, it would have been difficult for him to activate the Yen Emperor Cauldron. However, he burned dozens of sun stars and injected all their energy into the Yen Emperor Cauldron, forcibly awakening it. Rumble. Chapter 2245. Outside the Avalon of 5 Elements. Those demons have an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. They actually enveloped the entire Avalon of 5 Elements. Yuan Chen exclaimed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. They were at the periphery of the Avalon of 5 Elements and could clearly see a majestic mountain river painting soaring into the sky. It released boundless extreme Dao Emperor aura and engulfed the entire Avalon of 5 Elements. The ancient picture scroll in the void contained strange runes. Chaotic mist filled the air, containing the mysterious scenery of the mountains and rivers of the myriad worlds. Its aura was extremely terrifying. Yuan Chen felt a wave of lingering fear. If they had rashly barged into the Avalon of 5 Elements, they would have been caught like a turtle in a jar and killed by the demons. Emperor, should we take action? The demons have used an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Long Outyan will definitely die. The gap between them is getting bigger. Yuan Chen bowed respectfully towards the Celestial Emperor's war chariot. Daluo painting? It seems like the Undying Prince has taken action. Let's not bother about it for now. Let's wait and see. If he can't even deal with the Undying Prince, he isn't worthy of being my opponent. The Emperor's faint voice could be heard from the Celestial Emperor's war chariot. Yes. Yuan Chen's heart skipped a beat. Tianzi wanted to kill them all. Putting aside the fact that Ling Xiao and the rest might not be able to deal with the extreme Dao Emperor weapon, even if they could, There was still the trap that Tianzi and the rest had set up outside. No matter what, Ling Xiao and the rest were doomed. Of course, the experts from the demon clan would not be able to survive either. The winner of this battle was destined to be the emperor. Rumble. The Emperor Yen cauldron and the Daluo painting collided violently. In an instant, the void trembled and boundless divine light was annihilated. The mountains in the Avalon of 5 elements exploded at the same time and turned into the most fundamental particles. There were even a few demons with weaker cultivations who bled from their 7 orifices and died from the terrifying ripples. Their bodies exploded into a bloody mist. The collision of the extreme Dao Emperor weapons was like a battle between 2 great emperors. The terrifying shockwaves caused everyone's scalp to go numb and they felt chills all over their bodies. If not for the Daluo painting protecting the devils and the Yen Emperor cauldron protecting Ling Xiao, Jin Sei, and the others, everyone would have been blown to smithereens by the violent emperor's aura. Their souls would have been completely destroyed. Rumble. The Flame Emperor cauldron spewed out endless flames. Those flames contained the scenes of the world's birth and destruction, transforming into all sorts of powerful living beings. They looked incomparably mysterious as they continuously surged towards the Daluo scroll. Within the Daluo scroll, there were billions of mountains and rivers, as well as tens of thousands of worlds, constantly clashing with the Flame Emperor cauldron, causing terrifying shockwaves to erupt. The Inferno Emperor cauldron and the Daluo scroll seemed to be in a stalemate, and it was difficult to determine the victor. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The Daluo scroll was already restrained by the Yen Emperor's cauldron. His body was surrounded by a blazing divine light, and his blood was boiling. The roars of dragons and tigers exploded in the void. In an instant, a golden fist swept across the sky and struck towards the Undying Prince. Long Out Yen. The Undying Prince's eyes were also filled with murderous intent. He slapped across the sky, and the runes on his palm rose up, gathering the vast Great Tao Law. The heavenly might was brilliant, and it collided with Ling Xiao's attack. He had already confirmed that the wordless heavenly book was with Ling Xiao. He was determined to get this chaotic treasure. Today was the best opportunity to capture Ling Xiao. If he could get the wordless heavenly book, the so-called chosen one would be nothing. Rumble. The fist and palm collided, and the void trembled violently. Endless turbulence surged in the void, and Ling Xiao and the Undying Prince were both pushed back at the same time. Kill! The Undying Prince shouted coldly. His body was surrounded by divine light, and he looked ethereal and mysterious. He slashed down with his palm, and it was as if he had split the heavens and the earth in half. The huge saber swept across everything, and it stirred up monstrous waves. Ling Xiao did not dodge. Instead, he charged towards the Undying Prince. Chaotic light appeared between his arms, and it turned into a vast devouring vortex, as if it could devour the entire world. Ling Xiao could feel that the Undying Prince was far stronger than the original prince. When Ling Xiao was fighting with the original prince, he was still able to maintain a strong advantage. He could quickly defeat the original prince, and even suppress him. However, when facing the Undying Prince, Ling Xiao felt an immense pressure, and he had no choice but to focus and fight with all his might. The Undying Prince is cultivating both the Demon Dao and the Martial Dao? Could it be that this kid is from the God realm? Ling Xiao was shocked, and his gaze was extremely solemn. The Undying Prince in front of him was wearing a white robe, and he was extraordinarily handsome. He did not emit a trace of evil aura, and his entire person was ethereal, and he had the aura of the heavenly way. Ling Xiao could feel that the Undying Prince did not reveal his true face, but his original aura and appearance. However, when he attacked, it was obvious that he was cultivating both the Martial Dao and the Demon Dao. Such a person could only be found among the remnants of the demon race hiding in the divine world. In other words, the Undying Prince was an expert from the demon race hiding in the divine world. Otherwise, he would not be able to conceal his original appearance and aura. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the Undying Prince seemed to have met each other's match, and an earth-shattering battle broke out between them. Original prince, come. Let your grandpa Zhao Ritian play with you. Zhao Ritian's eyes moved, and he stared at the original prince. He sneered and charged towards the original prince. The original prince was almost turned into a pile of meat by Ling Xiao. Although he had regained his body, his strength was greatly affected. He had been suppressing the anger in his heart, and when he saw Zhao Ritian provoking him, he immediately exploded. You're courting death! The original prince roared, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The original banner appeared in his palm, and in an instant, it soared into the sky. Bright runes swayed in the void, and it was as if billions of stars were falling towards Zhao Ritian. The original banner in the original prince's hand was an imitation. Although it was not a true emperor weapon, it could be considered a boundary emperor weapon, and it contained a powerful emperor's aura. The original prince could not wait to kill Zhao Ritian with the original banner. Original prince, you are bullying your grandpa Zhao Ritian for not having a suitable weapon. However, grandpa will not kill you. Pa. Zhao Ritian laughed out loud. The aura around his body turned scorching and violent. With a punch, the stars in the sky shook. The blazing fist instantly blasted apart the stars in the sky and collided violently with the origin banner. Bang, 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 bang. Rumble. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.